Did you go to the New York Ren Fair?
No.
Welcome back, everybody. No, we went to the Maryland Ren
Maryland one.
Fair. You know, I found out there's a Connecticut Ren Fair that.
What?
It's happening. I'm going
Right
on
now.
the 18th.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Cool.
If you want to come.
No, it's funny because like I was gonna see if I was gonna try and go with my brother and sister sometime soon. So
They can come too.
well, maybe I'll see you there.
The whole old Donovan clan.
No, we're a
They
flan.
also
We're not a clan. We're a flan.
Damn it!
You're Donovan flan. We're very powerful and sugary. All right, let's recap.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're recapping. All right. Okay. Last we met, the Wayward Five battled the Pallid Archfey on the 27th day of Villid Gloam, the Wild Shadow, on a Tuesday. I'm sorry, a Tears Dog. This corrupted form of the Archdruid Gideon fought with little remorse and an abundance of sadism. This is the second time our heroes fought back this foe. With the strength they've grown, and with old friends joining them, they struck down the Pallid Archfey. Curon used the precise magic of the reborn Ilyuvanian to banish the evil that corrupted Gideon, via the newly created Pallid Mask. But this mask was new and stronger than the artifacts our heroes encountered previously. It had tendrils of its own to enact its will. It would not be destroyed so easily. As Sarathil attempted to do just that, the mask attempted to control him both via the voice of the Pallid King tempting him and the tendrils of the mask itself gripping for his face. As this corruption began to take hold of Sarathil, the party sprung to action, and Curon banished the mask, using protection from good and evil, sending it back to whence it came. Now calm, the party ensured Gideon's health. The now woken druid rushed off deeper into the city, and the party followed to find him grieving over Florian, his friend that he slew while under the control of the Pallid King. The Wayward Five offered what comfort they could as they sat beneath the great Fey tree that destroyed the spire here. And Gideon spoke of how Florian now joins the great rhythm, and that he must no longer grieve, but act. During all of this, back in Wizwick's magnificent, sorry, not marvelous, where did I get marvelous from? Wizwick's magnificent mansion, Timber wakes up from protecting Lou to a curious stranger staring at him, the now woken Ilyuvania. But he can't see her face, only the crescent moon mask. He learns quickly that she is difficult to wrangle. This newly born god seems to be just that, newly born. An insatiable curiosity causes her to test and play with the various materials and items in Wizwick's manor. She smashes glass, hides behind curtains, and pokes invisible servants as Timber attempts to keep her in one place to ask about his friends. This eventually leads to a race to the opening of the magnificent mansion. But Ilyuvania loses her mask as she swims in the great bioluminescent lake of this pocket dimension. And thus, Timber is the first to see the face of Ilyuvania. And he feels a peace he has never really known. Like he could stay here with the goddess forever, in this little cavern. And she at first covers her face, but slowly reveals it to him. Strange Ogham runic scars cover her face. Much like the old barrows the party explored just under a year ago in game time. But her face is very much that of a teenage Elysian, maybe 16. Timber, the ever thoughtful father, takes her hand and they step out back into the world, into Elysia. Here she sees the destruction the Pallid King has wrought. She drops down and begins to play with the mud of the swamp. smearing it across her arms and legs as she says to Timber, "This is me." He asks her if she can help him and find his friends. Shortly after, the two find themselves in Sarathil, where the party gathers, as Ilyvania perhaps magically teleports or maybe just moves them physically across this landscape that is, as she said, her. Ilyvania quickly begins to play again and climbs the Fey tree. And Curon finally gets to meet his goddess. She's different than he expected. And more delicate, perhaps. She shows a curiosity, and even though Curon uses her magic to climb the shadows themselves to speak with her, she seems to learn her own magic from him and climbs down to join him. And he learns that she knows him, but not as he is now, not Curon, but rather old names. Much older names. But their conversation turns to the darker aspects of her past, and it overwhelms the young goddess, who flees in pain. Elsewhere in Gwenvalir, in the darkened hollow of the home for the wayward Fae, our heroes defended many moons ago. The Fae rift there begins to crackle as a glaive drives through it and opens a larger portal. And from this steps Kosharin the Defiled, the wild elf servant of the Pallid King, general of his armies, and the very elf who destroyed the final remains of the Feywild as the Ashkeeper collapsed over Danya Malor, the Font Mother, and a great worm erupted from the dead ash tree's bark. There is nothing that remains of the Feywild but the corruption. And this is where we left off. So, Wayward Five, you've gathered in the central spire court of Sarathil, civic capital of Elysia. In the distance, you can see outside of this ringed center are the towers of the rest of the city. You can hear commotion throughout the streets as all the city knows is that something happened and a massive Feywild tree erupted from the center. What would you all like to do?
I think Curon's just kind of like staring after where Ilyvania ran off to hide, and like I believe that like he'd started to move forward, and Kaze was like, "Hey, just give her some time." And so he's just kind of standing there, looking very forlorn as he's just holding on to the scepter of the first shepherd, just kind of like staring around, looking at the city of his people.
I'll step up to Curon and say, do you suppose we should say something to the people here about this? Reassure them it's not dangerous?
Looking up at the dying ash tree, Curon goes, "Honestly, at this point, I don't even know if that's the truth. This is connected to the Feywild. Could channel the corruption. Pallid King. This corruption could already be spread across the land. But thank you, Scarlet. You are right. Something should be said to the people, lest they panic and
It's the last
innocent.
thing we need.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to find a way to spread a message to the people?
Yeah, so we're in like a secluded area of the city, correct?
Yeah, there's basically this whatever is you see here are you would actually now kind of that it's been a little more of the day. You can see similar to the fortress you destroyed a spire in, there was like sort of military operations here that have been destroyed by the growth of the tree, and some of them even like succumbed into the roots of the tree. So you are starting to see like people showing up to help because there are other wounded people here. You can see there are soldiers very similarly crawling out from collapsed buildings. There is, now that there seems, as far as people know, no more threat, they are starting to come in to this area. Some of them might spot you and kind of be wary, considering you are, you look the most different and most like you may have been responsible for this. So, yes, I'd say this is kind of like a ring center. There's that moat that you cross, and there are several exits of this ring that go into the rest of the city. Surrounding this moat is what you would know as the actual kind of like civic ring of Sarathil, the government buildings, everything that makes up the sovereign's administration is in the outer ring of this central circle. So you can even see directly to the north of here, if you kind of move around the tree, you can see the citadel of the sovereign.
Okay. Have the druids joined us?
Yes. They are now, I'd say, coming back from all of them giving their last kind of goodbyes to Florian, as you'd see Ilgwyn, Elduin, and Gideon have joined you all.
Are any of the mages from the north here?
No. And this is, I would say this is peculiar. Because from what you understood, they were actively helping Gideon.
Okay. So Kiran's gonna turn to the druids and go, friends, we need your help in alerting the city to what's going on. I think it best come from our people, so that there's some truth behind the words that they might believe.
Elduin and Ilgwyn both kind of look to Gideon, even though he's not at 100%, he is still their leader. And he just looks back at you and nods, kind of waiting for your next sentence.
We should also speak with the Sovereign, see what the state of that is currently. I'm sorry, I thought you said you had help from the Magisters to the north. I don't see any of the mages here.
You see at that the mention of them, Gideon just starts to look around. You can presume by the way then Elduin kind of cocks an eyebrow that they don't know where they are, but they are... The way they're looking around means that they should be here. And Elduin looks at Gideon and looks back at you and says, they were right with us. Oh, when did you see anything? Where are they? Gideon, we fled from you. Gideon kind of squeezes his eyes, a little like pained, trying to think about any memories he has from while underneath the mask's control. They fled. Or at least they teleported. I'm not sure where. Not sure what could have happened, but they were here.
Well, then we need to speak with them again, see if we can elicit more help from them for the coming conflict.
Everyone would, around this time, like during this conversation, you would start to hear just sort of slight, like the sounds of cracking stone that's echoing through the city. Anyone who has a past perception of 16 or higher, will be able to determine that this sound is coming from the Sovereign's tower, citadel. And I'd say probably that kind of happens at the start of this conversation. And I'd say around this time, Curon, you would look over to the Sovereign's tower. And it has this kind of like at the roof of at the top of the tower, it's very like there's this large stained glass window, circular, that has a depiction of Ilyvanya's arms kind of wrapping on the top portion of it, with her head, no face on it, just this sort of billowing hair, and then these two like brightly lit eyes, embracing kind of a map of Elysium, all made in stained glass, and that just shatters entirely out.
I think I found the mages. Turning to the rest of the party, Kieran goes, looks like we don't quite have time to rest. Vanya, Kieran says, calling to her hidey hole.
And you can see she, at this point, when you call out to her, you can see that she has stepped out, and is kind of slowly approaching you all. And she makes her way towards Timber, even as you call her, and just snakes her hand around his arm as she hears you call her name, and she looks up at you.
Yeah, Timber has like his arm out. What do you need?
I just wish to keep her my sight.
Okay.
Kieran kind of just like stares over at Kaze and Ilyvanya for a moment before turning back. He goes, Gideon, I think it's best you stay here and rest. Try to spread the word that everything's okay for the time being. There's just going to be some changes in management. Kieran hefts the scepter and starts moving towards the Sovereign's tower.
We will spread the word. And you see Gideon Fern kind of comes up behind them too here, as he looks like he seems to have like a really fast healing ability, and he already looks rejuvenated from the browning of his ferns. So you like to make your way? Go ahead.
Yeah, Timber's gonna stick close to Kieran's side and give Ilyvanya like nice little like slight double tug, like come on, follow.
Yeah. And she does, and she's so like the best way I could describe like her general movement and distractibility is and this is less me describe. I've already described it to you. This is more for if anyone is a fan of it. She's kind of like Ein from, or not Ein, sorry. Jesus, my brain just blanked. Ed. She's kind of like Ed in Cowboy Bebop in the way that when she gets distracted, she sort of wanders and she's easily excitable about certain things, but also has these moments of kind of being more childlike. But she is following along with Timber.
Actually, while she's following along, Timber reaches in one of his pockets and grabs Reyna's pocket watch and hands it to her to play with.
She immediately grabs it and starts to it's actually a point, Timber, where you look and you can see at first as you're walking, because it's going to take a little bit to get there, you see she's just sort of holding it. She shakes it once. She opens kind of the glass part of it, looks at it, and then you're satisfied kind of with distracting her with this. And then like maybe 5-10 minutes later, as you're walking through the streets, you look back and she's holding her hand like this, and the entire watch is disassembled, floating in her hand.
Oh, Timber's heart just like sinks a little bit, like, oh no. But he tries not to like look visually distraught about it, and just kind of like hopes that she puts it back together.
Give me a deception check. As you kind of look back and I imagine give kind of like a terse kind of like, yeah, that's good, you're doing good. You see like she's not looking at you as you look at her. She's looking at the individual parts of the watch. And you can already tell though, even before kind of like this deceiving smile, like you can see a clear line of sophistication coming out of where she was in the mansion, where she was smashing glasses to see what they are and just like poking things and ripping things apart. She is markedly more sophisticated in her explorations upon being given something that is worthy of more sophistication. But you see, you kind of look through the floating parts, and you make eye contact with her, and her eyes go from the core of this, which is a magical focus that Reyna had used to imbue the keen mind features into, and her eyes look up to you immediately. And as you try to weakly smile at her, all the parts come back together perfectly into the watch, and she just looks at you and sees the relief on your face.
Is this special?
Yes, it's an heirloom of my wife, my now dead wife. I thought you might appreciate for what it is. I just don't want to lose it. That was my fear in that moment. I appreciate you putting it back together.
Oh. I will be more careful. I'll treasure it for now.
Thank you.
She holds it closer to herself then with that hand and kind of looks to you like continue leading the way. As you're all moving through the streets of the Outer Ring, the streets are dead. There's no one here. Occasionally you look up and you can see someone peering out from a window. But these are the whole ring has kind of a central road that goes throughout the whole thing that is maybe 20 feet across. It's not super large, meant maybe for a one wagon to move along if necessary, or enough for a parade. The buildings are kind of hugging the wall. This is very like efficient structures. They're not meant for people to be hiding in them or staying in them or sleeping in them. They're purely meant for any administrative needs of the Elysian sovereign, and any support necessary for that. So these streets are dead, except for the occasional eyes peering out from a high up window, someone working late at night, or someone who got to work too early and that morning. The rooftops of every single building has a garden, abundant with plant life, and these open gazebo or overhead structures that are all meant for, at any time, for someone to be able to go up and look up at the corpse moon above. You slowly approach kind of this larger courtyard in the northern point of this circle that looks like it's meant to be an area where many more people gather than are currently gathered here. It's, the street opens up into this vast courtyard that has a statue in the middle of Varys Moonbound, who you all can recognize now as the first sovereign. This is the court of the sovereign. Varys is in not the form you've seen him before. You obviously saw him as a champion, and you saw him as a soldier in the image that he was portrayed in on the Arcanist steps. But here you can see he is shown as a shepherd. He is a cloak, robes, simple. He has a large shepherd's crook with one hand outstretched. As you can see, the foundations of this statue have these all manner of animal life from Elysia. You can see unicorns. You can see even a Balefane there. You can see the yaks of the river valley. You can see any unique creature, and every small and large creature is portrayed here, as this is the court of the shepherd. And interestingly enough, in the court of the shepherd, you all would see several sheep wandering around. And you would hear that. You would hear exactly that. As there are...
Auga!
You don't hear that. As this courtyard is filled with animals. Probably at least roughly around 15 of them. And then there would be these large steps that lead up to the mezzanine kind of upper level of the citadel itself, which would then have this large circular base with a dome that leads up to then an actual tower that goes up to the top. It's not nearly as large as, Ayla's and there's more. It's very much efficiently built again, like everything else.
As the party's entering this plaza and ascending the steps, Kieran will turn, as he's walking up, and for a moment pauses on Kaze and Ilivania, but then looks to the rest of the party and goes, "All right, now remember, we're not looking for a fight. These mages are supposed to be our allies in the coming conflict. However, they clearly saw this as an opportunity to seize some kind of power. I thought they were simply content to continue their machinations in the northern wastes, but we do need to lay down the law. You can all help me put forward a strong foot," Kieran says, as he's trying to buff out a little. He's like, let's just show them that we're the ones in charge here. While also pleading to their good nature that we need their help. Why does it always have to be so complicated?
Wizwick is limping behind the party and just catching up to hear the tail end of that speech. And he just looks like crap.
You see, Timber, you would see all of these sheep in this courtyard are all now slowly walking towards Ilivania.
Looking at Ilivania, do you want to? Is it okay if you know what sheep are?
She lets go of your hand and immediately runs up to one and squishes its face.
Okay.
As she squishes its face, it slowly starts to transform. And you see, as you would see a frightened Elysian soldier staring up in her face as he starts to weep openly, crying and looking up as he brings a hand to her hair. And she just sort of puts a hand on his forehead and then takes off his helmet and runs another hand through his own hair, cupping the tears away with her thumb. As she walks back to you, and the man just sinks his head into his hands, weeping at the sight of Ilivania. And he seems to have known exactly who just touched him. Sarathil, you would immediately know from that, if you didn't already, that these are not sheep. These are the guards of the courtyard.
Well, wait, are the guards of the courtyard that were in disguise?
Nope, they were all polymorphed by the mages that have taken control of this tower.
Oh, right. Following that, sorry, brain's a little slow today.
It's totally fine, we understand.
How many other sheeps are there?
There are about 14 more sheeps.
I will...
We're playing Catan now.
Yes. Wheat? You got any wheat?
I've only got clay.
Actually, you know what? Sarathil might not be able to do as much as he thought. 'Cause he's already burnt out on spell slots.
Yeah, right. I was just looking and I'm like, I need to save some for sending.
Yeah, you might presume, they're not in any danger
No,
Like,
yeah, I know, but I was just gonna
them
like
staying as sheep
I
for
was
the
just
next
gonna-
hour might be fine, but if there's something you want to do.
I was just gonna kindly try to dispel the polymorph on them. But I don't have enough spell slots to do it for everyone. So
Sarathil, give me an Arcana check.
17. Where are the druids?
The druids are going into the rest of the city to try to protect people, let them know what's going on. They're preoccupied at this point. But Sarathil, with that 17, you feel a moment of rejuvenation. Perhaps it's because this is, maybe the first moment you realize that Ilyuvania is right there. That this really is Ilyuvania. That you see this soldier interacting with. And I'm going to say you get to use your short rest ability, the arcane, what's it called?
Recovery.
You get an instant use of arcane recovery.
Okay.
As the magic that sustains you is empowered by the presence of that which gave it to you.
Sweet. So then in that case, feeling that rejuvenation, I will feel compelled to start helping some of these people, and dispelling the magic away. So it's 9, I get back to 1, 4, 7, there. So I could do 3 of them.
I'll say your power is rejuvenated with 3 of them. If you use 3 to dispel magic, it'll kind of bounce a little bit, area of effect a little bit, and all of these soldiers will be brought back to their normal form. And they all seem to drop down to their knees a little bit, as it seems, especially to you all, that any Elysian who encounters her knows who she is immediately. All of these soldiers are dumbstruck. And they seem to follow you all at a distance if you start to walk away from them.
After helping as many as I can, Sarathil would approach Ilyuvania and just ask, do you have any memory of me at all?
She would release Timber's arm that she's holding on to and walk up to you. And given that you're shorter than Kiran, she can actually reach your cheek when she reaches up. And when she touches your cheek, you would feel that same heartbeat that you felt when Noct touched her. And she would look kind of peculiarly at you as she turns her head. You can't see her face, of course. And say,
No. But I recognize your silhouette. The shape of you is familiar.
I suppose it was just a memory of you that I had encountered. But
A lot of this is just memories. I may know you in time.
Some divine intervention going on right there.
That was Illyvania. Yeah, that was Illyvania.
It's like you wouldn't happen to know how long that would take for you to regain your full strength, would you?
Full strength. I don't know what my full strength is.
I mean, recovering who you once were before you had fallen during the conflict, the Mercer conflict.
Some of it is faster than the rest. But it helps to see shapes. Like you. And him.
She looks to Kieran.
Sarathil will kind of just ponder at that and just kind of take that in for a moment. Just thinking of ways he can possibly help.
Yeah, and the last thing she says to you before rushing back to Timber.
Him I know as other names. Many names, old. Much older. But you, I only know the shape.
She smiles at you and prances back over to Timber.
Yeah. Stop talking to me in Illyvania's voice. You're messing with my electricity.
It's destroying your electricity, yeah. It's too powerful.
It's too powerful.
But you all can ascend the steps of the Citadel and begin making your way to the Sovereign's Chamber. Inside, you would find more polymorphed Elysians. Basically any threat seems to have been polymorphed. They did not slaughter, it seems, when they came here. They did not kill those who they could simply incapacitate. You would see as you enter into the main structure, there is this large statue of Queen Ayla that has been completely destroyed and scattered across this main antechamber. It has been, did I say Ayla? I meant to say Ayla, not Illyvania, if I said Illyvania. This massive statue of Queen Ayla that has been shattered and spread across, where you can see a portion of her face is kind of like the first thing you step up to, Kieran, as you lead everyone in here, and you see this just like probably like broken down like halfway down the face. You can see this statue that has been shattered, and behind it you can see the spiral steps that would lead up through the tower itself. And at the top of the first terrace of those steps, you would see, kind of stepping back and forward, is this Elysian elf. You can see a long robes of this really bright vermilion red, with over top of it is this sort of intricate filigree wiring that seems to be woven on top of it, and in between the wiring of this kind of flowered filigree is this slightly shimmering arcane energy. This is like a externalized mage armor, not the kind that is cast, but the kind that is worn. That weaves over the top of the robes in a fitted way, like armor. And then these large gauntlets with these sharpened claws at the end, much like other mages you've encountered. Battle mages tend to have these gauntlets that help them fight. This vermilion hood that's over the head, and this mask over the face that is made up of the mesh filigree and you can see there is that kind of blue mage armor over it, and just faintly behind it, you can see the face of an Elysian elf. You can see coming out of the hood are these long Elysian ears that are completely encased, though, in kind of a protective filigree as well, as they're just kind of pacing up there right now, with several sheep around them, and then they finally kind of look down from the high point of those steps to see you all approaching.
I imagine Kieran's walking up the steps, and he goes, "Twilight, greet you, Honoro. Are you also a shepherd?"
Ilyavania, stop that.
This one's catching a lot more of my AC than the other voice mods. Let me turn my sensitivity down.
There are no shepherds here.
Then, do you not lead this flock? And this whole time, Kieran is still like slowly approaching, ascending the stairs.
I suppose all are a flock to the Unity. What's done here is done, Twilight Shepherd.
You know me.
Of course. The Druids shared stories. Shared by the outsiders you walk with, to them.
Well then, you have my thanks. You did not contribute to the needless bloodshed that has already plagued our people.
And there need not be any more.
Of course, we agree wholeheartedly. I couldn't help but notice the unfortunate destruction took place at the top of the Sovereign's Tower.
The Archmage must do what she must to ensure the future of Elysia has never fallen prey to such outdated and predatory institutions.
Of course, I was coming here to do the same thing. Ensure that our people are united as one for a brighter future.
This entire time you've been talking and ascending the steps, the mage has just been pacing and keeping eyes with you. And you can see their eyes opaquely enough through to maintain eye contact. They stop at this point to kind of walk forward. They don't look aggressive. They just look like they are hesitant to your ascension because they're not sure what you will do.
Then you have no quarry with what goes on above. It will be done soon.
No quarry, but I very much would like input. I have yet to meet your Archmage, and I'd very much like to speak with her.
That I'm not certain I can do, Twilight Shepherd. For the Archmage has her purposes above. But once the announcement's been made, I'll surely allow you to rise.
At this point, unless he stopped us, I think, we've almost ascended the stairs totally, and Kieran is now level with the mage, and he's just going to bring up the scepter, and he goes, I wish no more violence. on this day, but if you do not allow us to continue our ascent, it will be your will. Done it.
Give me a persuasion roll or intimidation.
Can I use a little bit of my draconic gift, which was the frightening presence, to kind of just like I don't want to, so I said a little bit, just like I don't know, if there's torches or shit around, just kind of like make them shine a little brighter, or let me actually read.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you read what it actually
Yeah.
does?
I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
makes you go, and a big dragon appears behind you.
Each creature of a choice wisdom saving throw. Echoes of a dragon might linger around you, and you can call on them to inspire fear in those who stand against you.
Is there a saving throw involved?
Yep. 16 wisdom.
Wisdom, okay. They are frightened by you, Scarlet, and this so that I will give Curon advantage on his persuasion or intimidation roll. What I'll say happens is that the torches do kind of flicker as there's kind of this shadow of a dragon that flies across the room, flickering them all out as your eyes shift to a reptilian form with the eye slits, and the presence of Glowmung shimmers through
That's
the
an
room.
8.
With advantage?
Yeah.
Oh,
5
buddy.
before.
Well, an 8's better than a 5. The wizard looks at you, and he does kind of look around as that draconic shadow lingers around. He is afraid of Scarlet. So, Scarlet, if you want to say anything over Curon's shoulder, you can.
I highly advise that you trust what Curon has to say. There's much good that can come of a conversation between himself and the Archmage.
Scarlet, I will give you a persuasion or intimidation roll, not with advantage, to carry this home.
Let's
Use it wisely.
see. Persuasion is much better. 10.
Okay. The wizard looks at you, Curon, and then looks to the rest of the group as they all, I imagine, come up now. And there's the full Wayward 5 here.
And Ilyvania.
And a god.
And a god, yeah.
And I
By the way, what is she doing in this moment?
She is following. Like she's not doing anything necessarily, but as soon as you get up here and she stands next to Timber, you watch the wizard begin to cast something. And the wizards amongst you might be preparing a counterspell or something like that if they have it, but the wizard stops. As you can see them a little like caterpillar's cocoon floats up in their hand, and they go like this, but then it falls back into their hand as they look over at Ilyvania. You see the filigreed mask that has the mage armor just sort of melts back, and you can see this young wizard's face as they look at Ilyvania with this very confused look on their face. Because the Anthelion Unity have no faith in Ilyvania. They never did. They never worshipped Ilyvania. They are descendants of those who worshipped the old gods of the Aldaviri elves. And they didn't even worship them, really. And they see her. They don't say anything. They look back at Curon because this is the biggest thing that could possibly back the concept of the Twilight Shepherd, is that there's a freaking god here. And they just step back and to the side and almost walk back all the way into the wall and sit down on the ledge and look. They don't say anything. They seem completely dumbfounded. They don't stop you if you continue walking. They were about to cast Mass Polymorph on you all, but...
Kieran's gonna take a step forward and look at this wizard and go, "It is the weak that require proof for their faith. It is the weak that only have faith in their self." Just start to continue climbing the steps.
Okay. You would eventually find the halls lead you to where the room, the grand room of the sovereign would be, where there would be receptions and those who would visit the sovereign for business and for requests and all of that, which is exactly where you know that stained glass to be. You start to hear the wind of the high tower blowing through that. As you would step up and see the doors blasted open of this hall. And you can see two other battle mages in there that are just kind of staring at the gaping hole of the stained glass. As you can see the archmage standing there with Sovereign Elway clutched in her gauntlet. That she's just staring out, holding him next to her, staring out from the tower's open window. She has a similar setup, although she has like more armor on, I would say. Like you can see actual like filigreed pauldrons. You can see the general armor of her garb is more impressive, and the helm of filigreed mage armor goes up into more of a spread of eagle's wings at the top, with tresses of vermilion ribbon coming down. Vermilion being the color of the Anthelion Unity. This is the leader of the entire guild of mages, basically. She holds Elway, and she seems to be having a conversation with him, with her back turned to you all, with Elway there. She's standing and just clutching at him, held down on his knees next to her.
Can I overhear their conversation?
Give me a perception check.
You want me to give you a perception check?
Yeah, DC 25, because their backs are turned.
Whoa, little hero.
30.
You can hear a similarly like dissonant voice as the mage below when the armor was on, saying to Elway. You can, and I'll say it's like you hear bits and pieces of it just because their back is turned to you. If they weren't, you'd get the full thing. But mainly it's her chastising him for being a dog to Ilyvania. And
For Ayla.
Ayla, sorry, I keep doing that. I've been doing that for the entire campaign. Yes, Ayla, being the servant of Ayla, and for the restrictions that he has placed on the people of Elysia, and the sins that he has inherited from his participation in whatever Ayla has done. She seems to be rather angry, and you think potentially getting ready to throw him from this tower. And I would say they're like the two magic mage guards are about I'd say like 25 feet away from you from the door as you're looking through the door. If you were to step at the door, they'd be 25 feet into the room, and then they're about 50 feet into the room towards the back of the room.
Can I do my frightening thing again with the torches in the shadow? I can do it up to 6 times a day. Just to get them to stop.
You can do that to disrupt what's, to
stop
change what's happening in the
doing,
room, to gather their attention. Yes.
To give Kieran a second to step in.
Sure. Let me do checks for
Wisdom
them.
16.
Okay. Oh, wow. They all failed, actually. Well, actually, no. She meted it. She got 16, so she
meted
meted it. She meets
meted
it, so she beats it.
Got it.
But the two guards do kind of like turn quickly. You can see one of them like generates this like magical sword and shield into his hands and turns around to you all, while the other one seems to be like kind of just holding a firebolt in one hand as they turn around and see Huron walk in with Scarlet and the rest of you behind them, and they are frightened of Scarlet. So you see them just start to slowly step backwards as the Archmage kind of turns and looks to you all, and holding Elway still starts to walk towards you. And he looks like he's been beat up. Like they didn't like use magic on him. They just like dragged him from bed. And she's just like probably like just beat the shit out of him and brought him out here. And that, like, the blast of the art, like, it wasn't a fight that caused the blast of this. This was her frightening him and threatening him by blasting the windows open.
Walking forward, giving a little nod to Scarlet, Huron goes, "You speak of sins, and yet would commit one yourself. Guilty. Fool. Placed in a position with no real hope of ever having control over himself."
Huron. Huron is Celestona. I thought you were in Therismore.
We were, but we had need to come here. And then I couldn't help but notice your display, Kieran says, gesturing to the shattered glass. You know, it was a historic stained glass. I believe it'd been there for thousands of years. To destroy it so recklessly. Shame, but I'm sure your coffers can help repair it, as you
my understanding, the spires that you've charged us with destroying and the spires you destroyed were many more thousands of years old.
True, but they represented domination. They represented corruption. What you destroyed represented unity, did not? An effigy of our beloved Crescent Heart, holding her people close, representing the love she shares with us and gives to us every day.
It's time for Elysia to let go of the past and march into its bright future.
Says who?
Says those who have the interest of the people at heart and freedom.
You know, Ayla claimed to also have the people's interest at heart. And she was cemented in the past. She could not look far into the future. She could barely see what was happening right under her nose. But you run grasping for a future that you think may be there, ignoring the lessons of the past. That is not the way either, Archmage. No. Elysia is to move forward, must be mindful past, hopeful for the future, but rooted in the present. And at the present, an evil far worse than Ayla looms in our skies. And at the present, that we must be united, not scaring the citizens of this city, but showing them that there is stability and order. I understand your want for power. Granted, the Anthelion order has been kept on the eaves for too long. Your people have much to give the rest of Elysia, and I apologize that Ayla shunned you so. But this is not the way to gain the trust of the people.
See, Archmage Selenor looks at you, and like the other one, retracts her mage armor so her voice is plain and her own. She kind of tosses Elway forward then towards you, and then walks past him up to you so that you're level with her. That same kind of hood, but with that eagle-like crown on it.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks up to you, and you can see the Anthelion Unity elves. They have Elysian features. They don't have the black sclera or the rest of the Elysian elves. And their eyes glitter with not the cobalt or orange or purple, but with a red in the pupil. Seems to be the type of arcane magic they imbue themselves with. And she looks at you, probably, maybe she's short, definitely shorter than you, but she's close to your height. She looks up. The intellectual power of the Anthelion Unity decided to back you and these druids' efforts. And perhaps we've moved too quickly here, seeing the collapse of that druidic ally down below. We saw a city that was about to either tear itself apart or fall prey to the manipulations of that man. But you're all right. Do as you wish with Elway. But the Anthelion Unity will need assurances of mutual aid and leadership in the future. We're to help you with whatever remains of your crusade.
I fear it's no longer a crusade, but a bulwark defense. As for assurances, it is my hope that mages, druids, seers, and shepherds alike may all meet at a table and have an equal voice in the future of our people. We will need strong leadership. Archmage, Selenor, I do see strong leadership in you.
So long as the table has enough seats and is not dominated by shepherds and seers, the Anthelion Unity will help. This
Have my
country
word.
must open itself up beyond these ways. We are happy to help there, and only there.
Couldn't agree more. At this time, we are preparing our defenses at Therismore. Seems to be where the veil is weakest. As you may have seen, Pallid King's reach already started to tear a hole. Send whatever resources you have available there. We hope to bring some order to the city before heading there ourselves, with more allies, the rest of the continent.
And we look forward to, given the survival of this world, the backing of the Twilight Shepherd in moving the Anthelion Unity into Sarathil, into this citadel.
This is the Sovereign's citadel. I'm sure a much nicer, grander tower of the Order could certainly be built.
The backing of the Twilight Shepherd in the unrestricting of certain arcane arts and discoveries.
You know our one rule.
And
That's
it will-
that.
That one rule will always be respected.
I believe we have an agreement.
Excellent. The arcane might of the Anthelion Unity will arrive, and we will help you, Twilight Shepherd. As for the current state of this city, we have the might to help control it and keep the people safe, if you would give us that authority. And as she says that, you see several mages appear from their invisible states, stepping forward. There are 12 more mages in here.
Of course. While they may not trust you at this moment, the sheep that were left to protect this one, Kieran says, gesturing to the Sovereign, may be able to assist you, especially knowing that you meant them no true harm.
Excellent. What would you have us tell them is happening?
A threat equal to the Morsir conflict comes, and it has taken our Queen Ayla.
I intended on doing this myself, she says, grinning, and then kind of like looking up but past you. You can see that kind of like danger of a mage behind her eyes, that danger of a power hunger. As she grins, this very toothy grin. She has very sharp features in her kind of slightly darker indigo colored skin. But I suppose as a show of good faith from the Unity, if you wish to impart that message in totality right now, you may. And she traces a circle in the air, grabs it and throws it to the ground, and holds her hand out to it, as if she's offering you a megaphone.
Kieran will step over to it.
Everyone would now see a projection of Kieran appear outside of the broken window of the Tower of the Sovereign.
People of Sarathil and all of Elysia, my name is Kieran Isilistane. Some of you may know me as the Twilight Shepherd, Cleric of Illuvania, and heretic to Ayla. I come to you now with a dire message. Ayla is gone, killed by an evil that rivals the Morsir conflict. That is what currently pushes against the veil, Kieran says, gesturing to the sky. The tree you see planted in the middle of the city is the work of the hedge clerics to the south, who are helping us rid the corruption of this Pallid King. But it is too late. The mages of the Thulian Order have aided us to bring safety to you all. And now it is this time that we all must unite. Sovereign Elway, Kieran says, looking down at the Sovereign, has been injured, but will try to lead where he can. Until then, those who are able, pick up arms to help us fight in the coming conflict. There's more is to be the battlefield. All who are able, we ask you to come. Those who are not, we understand. But should this evil not be stopped here, it will sweep across our lands and the rest of Gwenvalor and all of the material plane. Its hunger knowing no satisfaction. I ask you all to do this in her name. And remember, Crescent Heart is always watching. And Kieran's going to take a step back and looking to Iluvania, kind of does like a questioning look with a slight gesture towards the megaphone, as it were.
She would kind of hold Timber's arm tighter there, and she's looking at you, Kieran, and she kind of looks up at Timber and then back to Kieran.
Timber, like, grasps her arm a little tighter as she is back, just like, I feel you. It's okay.
At the hesitation, I think even just at that, Kieran would bring up a hand and motion, and actually will say to the Archmage if there's anything you would like to add. People should know your face too.
And you see she smiles back at she smiles at you at this kind of you can see she's a little bit surprised. She's not used to clerics being at all interested in her voice. So she'll step forward into the to take your place in the megaphone, and you would hear pronouncing out, "Citizens of Elysia, you can trust the Anthelion Unity to protect you and escort those willing to fight to the battlefield. As you see our faces in the street, do not fear, do not turn away. We are here with mirth and good tidings for the defense of this world. You will soon see us all through the streets. Do not hesitate to come and seek answers from the mages of Tor-Alta." And she steps out, ending the message.
Ooh. Wizwick was gonna try and gesture to her and just be like, can I get in there for a second? Just, like not saying anything, but just being like.
She's like got a hand up, and she just looks at Kieran, like cocks an eyebrow.
He shrugs.
She removes her hand from breaking the enchantment. "As you wish, little Zviefneblin."
Yeah, I step up to the stand and say, "Oh my god, I really want to say Elysia."
Oh, you know what? The Anthelion Unity actually would probably pronounce it that way. So you would hear her when her message would have said, "Citizens of Elysia."
Citizens of Elysia, or Elysia, however you wish to call it. My name is Wizwick Bilgu Farlight Yellen Jedri Pedri Netherrock. I stand here representing a group of your population that not many of you have known, but just know that like the mages, we are here to help. The denizens of the Underdark have heard your pleas for assistance, and we are in this fight on your side as well. Be sure to give praise to the brave dwarves and gnomes that you may see in the next coming days. And good luck to all of you. We shall be victorious. I guarantee it. And I give him a wink, and then I leave.
Actually, a very interesting thing for you to have chosen to do that, because there are most likely some Zvirfneblin in this city. So that will have an interesting effect. She very quickly closes it, though, after you go up there. After you step away. And she'll look to the ragtag group that is the Wayward Five. And she'll look at Ilyuvania too, and you can tell, Kiran, she has that same recognition, but she is much more powerful mage. She's a fortitude not to lose her cool at the sight of a god. But she does look quickly to you, like as in this kind of like this astonished moment of eye contact where you can tell her face says, "Oh, you did it."
Again, Kiran's just gonna kind of he'll have more of a smirk on his face this time, but he still just shrugs like. Actually, and he will say, "Always have faith." How do you pronounce her name?
Selenor.
Always have faith, Selenor.
And she'll look at Ilyuvania. She'll smile back at you and then keep that smile looking at Ilyuvania. When you're ready, what conversations we could have, stories we could share. Ilyuvania kind of grasps Timber's arm, but kind of just gives her own little weird nod, like, who the hell is this lady? And then Selenor kind of looks to the rest of you and kind of gives a weird kind of, like, she's sizing each of you up. She looks at Scarlet and just kind of smiles and cocks an eyebrow and says, "I suppose you're a frightening one. Oh, and you?" She looks to Sarathil. "It doesn't take much to see like minds." But you are not of Elysia.
No. And from somewhere far, far in the past as well.
Well, under the guidance of the Twilight Shepherd, perhaps we will reconnect with our cousins to the south. Your descendants, I suppose, if you're from so far away. Well, Wayward Five, or whatever you call yourselves, I look forward to seeing how you save this world. And then she goes and grabs Elway. Unless you have any interest in speaking with him, we may need him.
Just remember, sheep always have their uses. Don't hurt them too bad.
You see, she grabs him. You can hear like an immediate whimper comes from him. You know, he's like in Elysian years. This is a very older man, and he has a very scraggly beard, and he is his very shorter Elysian hair. Most Elysians don't have short hair. His is kind of much more well manicured. He seems like he was well rewarded for his service. He kind of looks like the old Meister in the first season of Game of Thrones. who pretended like he was really weak, but that was always kind
Yeah.
of stronger. And she kind of just starts dragging him away. She does lift him to his feet, so he's not down below. And you can hear her, like, as she's walking out of this room, like, just, like, tapping him on the back and just saying, "Well, you know, Sovereign, that the people might not appreciate this change of power. Can you give us the permission to do what we need to ensure the protection of the people?" As you hear that voice trailing away. The very clear sounds of manipulative wizards, like that tone. As she walks away, and you see the 2 other mages kind of follow her, moving around you all.
What about the 12 other ones that were invisible?
They just stare at you, and then all jump out the window and fly away.
Maybe you were there the whole time.
No, but if you actually do look outside, you would see now that you've kind of given her not full reign of the city, but authority here. You start to see lights kind of as more mages are teleported into the city.
Wizwick kind of just goes up to Curon and says,
Good job with all that. It seems like you solidified another alliance. Do you think there's any chance you might be able to snag me one of those cool cloaks? I didn't really want to ask. It didn't seem like the right time.
I'm sure when this is all over, they'll be more than happy to share their knowledge with yourself.
But as far as you can tell, you've, for the purposes of your end game, so to speak, you have secured Sarathil. You've secured a force that can protect Sarathil, as well as organize Sarathil. Whatever comes of that, as far as, you know, that force's way of managing Sarathil is how it will be. So this city is allied with you, just as Tor-Lancoroth is, and hopefully eventually Therismore. Oh, the last thing Selenor will say to you, Curon, is she'll just say, "I look forward to reclaiming and protecting Arcathium with you," which you know is the original name of Therismore. Sort of a power move on her part a little bit, saying that's our city, is kind of what you might hear in the subtext of that.
I'll make a note of that.
But now with this city secured, it's, you know, you have sort of time, you know, as far as Elysia is concerned, you have kind of secured Elysia as much as you're going to right now.
Looking over at Curon, so shall we go to Veramosia?
Yes. Much we must do.
I mean, I kind of wanted to check on Smoothold once, you know, I'm back to my normal self. I mean, things weren't looking too good checking up on Uncle Owik, right?
I had reached out to him because he has Pallid Mask, and I did not receive a response.
Like he was sleeping, or like a...
I could sense him. He was alive. Generally, my messages awaken recipient. But there was no response. I will say, it felt different then when one is possessed. I'm not quite sure what was wrong, but he may simply been unconscious. But yes, Wizwick is right. We should... It is because of our actions that Owik was endangered. Do we have enough teleportations, Kieran says, looking to the 2 wizards, to get us to Smoothold and then to Vermelsia? I don't actually know if I have my spell.
Another thing, I thought the big issue with Smoothold is that we cannot teleport directly inside. Unless you guys found a way to bypass that.
Didn't they have a circle?
Do we not?
I vaguely remember. I mean, I wasn't around. Wizwick wasn't around, but
Uncle-
wasn't there something in
Uncle
Uncle
Owik,
had
Uncle
a
Owik
circle.
had a circle that he gave you, which was that would bypass the defenses of Smoothold. But the only entrance into the Smoothold you would have would be through Uncle Owik's shop.
Never mind.
To answer your question, Kieran, with a little bit of time, I could recover some of my magical prowess and perhaps, cast one teleport. But, I would need some, I would need a circle, and I would also probably need,
actually have teleportation circle.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too much use in a fight afterwards, but I could get us there.
I mean, I have the ability to cast us somewhere as well, so we have that option.
What if we go to Vamosia to our manor and we rest and regroup and really solidify a plan, and then we can go to Smoothold, unless you think that's more pressing.
I think the question is, what can our wizards do at this moment?
Yeah, Wizwick kind of just like furrows his brow and he says,
I can do it, but I don't know if something goes wrong there. I'm not sure I have the strength to protect everyone.
I would say the same for myself. I'm quite exhausted from the fight that we had with Gideon, but it does concern me. The longer we wait to not check on Owik, the more powerful the Pallid King grabs. Potential enemy, or even an ally we can use. We can get us. I am definitely capable of getting us to Vamosia. Not Vamosia, sorry. A Smoothold. But as far as if the worst has happened, I wouldn't be too well in a fight.
Wizwick. Go ahead.
I believe, I think we should maybe roll that dice, as a pun intended.
Take the chance, you mean, and go to Smoothold?
And go to Smoothold. Quick visit, and then right to Vamosia. There's no there's no. That's just a guess that we would have to encounter something, but I would doubt it.
Do you want?
Based on Kieran's.
Can we send again? Try it again before we go.
Yeah. This is where Wizwick would chime in and says,
It's been a long time since I went home, but there's no one I trust in Smoothold like Owik. Did you, any of you, when you were there, speak to anybody that, might be able to check up on him for us, or?
We're talking about a pallid mask here.
I think we
I
should
don't want
just
to
go.
endanger any more of your kin. Let's go.
I think we should
See
just
what
go.
we have to deal with.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some time.
and he immediately just like turns off and looks like he's in a meditative state.
How much time?
2 hours.
Okay.
What?
To regain your fighting strength or to get us there? Because as I said, I can teleport us there.
I mean, do you really want to teleport us there and then we don't have any way of getting back for another 2 hours? What if there actually is an issue and we get into a problem? It's prudent for us to at least, give me enough strength for us to return.
What if Owik's life is threatened within this next 2 hours?
If his life is threatened in the next 2 hours, we won't be able to do anything. If
I mean,
I think we should go now.
I think we should go.
We
now.
saw what was happening to Gideon. The longer we wait, the more destruction Owik, under the possession of the Pallid King, may enact.
Even though Timber and I aren't magical, we can maybe try and subdue him in some way.
Correct. Yeah, Scarlet and I are very capable.
I think during this conversation, you see like Wizwick, struggling. His face is kind of just like contorting in a strange way. And he keeps saying, like, he starts muttering things like, I don't think this is right. We need to defend Noldor. I'm not sure, but we have to. And he just keeps muttering for maybe like a few 30 seconds and then goes silent and then looks up with a straight face and says,
I will follow you all. We will stop this threat if there is one.
Did we overhear him say that?
Yeah, I don't think Wizwick,
Yeah,
I don't think you were
I-
hiding it. It was just sort of that was happening in front of all of you.
Son, blessed everything. He is right. If something bad were to happen to Wizwick, then the 6-day period that we have before the Pallid King gets here is not.
Right.
He holds the barrier.
So what do you propose?
Maybe at least try. Let me try contacting him again one last time via my diadem here. If he doesn't answer, then we know that he's in for sure danger. And then maybe we act immediately. As Sarathil will touch his diadem and cast telepathy, focusing on Uncle Owik. So it says it's just a willing creature needs to accept it. So I am assuming that if the creature's not willing, then Owik is not in his right state of mind.
I see what you're saying, yeah. So like if Uncle Owik is under the control of something, then it would resist this, essentially. Okay.
Well, I'm guessing. I mean, the Pallid King is tricky in his way. He could just answer and be like, "Come get me."
Yeah,
But-
I know what you mean.
But,
I know what you mean.
But Sarathil's thinking is like, if he doesn't hear anything, he's taking that as he's in trouble.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So, your main goal is to create that connection. If it gets created, then speaking to him. Otherwise, it means what it means.
Speaking to him and possibly, I mean, I can see what he sees, so it's
Yeah.
that token too.
So, you can instantaneously share words, images, sounds, and other sensory messages with one another through the link. So, if the target is incapacitated in any way, I imagine they can't actively share things with you. Like they can't share those images, mental images, or what they see.
Right.
But you might get something. But
Okay.
so you begin to cast this. The diadem lights up. Your mind extends out to the south and under the ground into Uncle Owik's workshop. And when you reach out, the connection is made in the sense that Owik is not, as far as you can tell right now, unwilling.
Okay.
Whatever that means is whatever it means.
Sure.
You can sense that Owik is incapable of sending anything to you, which could mean that he is unconscious or in some other state. With that being said, telepathically you're connected with him, and you do receive some feeling, visual, auditory, whatever it might be. As you would feel Owik's fear, Owik's pain, as he seems to be currently in a nightmare state. He is unconscious, and something is afflicting his mind in this unconscious state. As you can hear mutterings, because you can telepathically feel him. You can hear his mutterings. The Underdark. It's just sort of any kind of like just mentionings of those connected to him. He mentions you all, mentions the Underdark, mentions Wizwick, and mentions the mask a few times. But that's what you get.
Okay. Taking that into account, Sarathil would respond back to him or attempt to speak into his mind and tell him, Owik, you're under the influence of the Path of Mass, which I'm sure you're aware of. Fight. Hold out as long as you can. We'll be there to help. But resist. Resist as much as you can until then.
You can feel the message does go and is received telepathically by Owik, even if he is unconscious or in some other state. Owik hears you. And you can feel some of that pain and fear not disappear, but it's competing now with a sense of hope.
After kind of like coming out of that, he would turn to the group and say, we should go now. He's not fully taken yet, I believe. He's currently... it feels like he's unconscious, and he's fighting it as much as he can. If we can get there before it takes him, we might be able to save him and not have to fight at all.
So, what are we waiting for?
If everybody's fine, then Sarathil will have to use his 9th level spell slot.
Jeez.
Jeez, yeah.
He cast teleport.
Okay.
On the group and send it to focusing on the circle.
Perfect.
Focus.
Absolutely.
And that's no roll, right? If it's a circle.
No roll. It's automatic.
Okay.
Yeah. You do so. You all gather up, and you feel that time and space bending teleportation as you start to slowly see Uncle Owik's shop materialize around you. Something of note for any time you are in Sarathil, and note for the rest of the campaign, as you create allies that are firm allies, kind of the way I said, you've firmly established the Anthelion Unity as an ally, you will gain benefits from those allies. Once a day, the Anthelion Unity can give you one of any reagent for spells. Other than like, I'll say there's a gold limit to that, so you can't just be like, can you give us 25,000 gold diamonds so we can cast True Resurrection? There's some limits to it, but generally, if you need a reagent, take for example anything needed for teleportation or anything like that, the Anthelion Unity will provide it.
Does that include teleportation circle truck?
It does.
Cool.
Yeah.
Does that include like a gate diamond worth 5,000 gold?
Maybe.
If you say pretty please.
It's okay, I have that handled.
I know. But
Maybe a statuette of myself carved from ivory.
Well, you'll find that out in Smoothold anyway.
We're about to get you that.
Yeah. It's on the mantle of your parents'
We're
house.
gonna loot your grave.
Yeah, a little grave robbing needed. It'll be very interesting to see Wizwick's old body with his new body next to it.
Oh my god.
Traumatic. But anyway, so I'll say we're about to take a break, but I'll just give you what you see when you arrive in Owik's chamber. You teleport through, and you feel yourself. You're in the entire space is very dark. There are a few bioluminescent I almost said muskrats for some reason. Bioluminescent mushrooms that are glowing dimly, creating this sort of eerie, pale blue light in here, where you just kind of just see this of these little mushrooms glowing brighter and then darker. As you can see, some knocked over, ever burning torches in some places.
Can I do a little produce flame and give us a little more light?
Yeah. There is just sort of this low-hanging mist on the ground that kind of clings up at the walls once you have your light out, that casts these sharp shadows as you're walking through the many halls of Owik's tower. And you would, as you're walking kind of down the hall that leads to the main study where Owik would be, in your minds at least, where he had the mask, you step into this area and you can see in the middle of the room, kind of where Owik's little dining room area is, where you all ate with him and spoke about Wizwick. You can see on the table is Uncle Owik. And he's curled up in a ball, kind of shaking a little bit and muttering as these shadows kind of cling to the ground around the table. Every now and then the shadows just sort of like corporealize into those chalky, dark, gray arms that many of you have seen come out of the Pallid Mask's hood, or the Pallid King's hood, just sort of reaching up for Owik or tugging at his robes as you enter into this space. And that's where we're going to go for a break. When we come back, we will see what happens with Uncle Owik. All right, folks, stick around with us as our heroes shore up their allies and friends and family. And when we come back, we will see what happens. All right, everyone, see you soon. Everyone say see you soon. I'm skipping words tonight. See you soon, everybody.
See you soon.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advantage in Paradise. Our heroes, the Wayward Five, have just entered into Uncle Owik's workshop tower, where they have not been able to get in touch with him, but know that he is under some kind of effect of the Pallid King. They've entered here, and the lights are dim, and there's this spooky fog all over the ground, and we'll see what happens next. So you enter into the room, and you see Uncle Owik is kind of curled up in a ball on the main table here. What is everyone's passive perception?
19.
10.
Shut up, Kira.
It's 32. It's 32.
Oh, shit. I was like sitting here and be like, his passive's like 28 or something, or 29 or something. So I'm having a DC of 30, and then Kieran's like 32. Okay, Kieran, no one will notice this but Kieran.
So why'd you ask?
Because I wanted to see if Kieran would notice it.
I'm kidding.
What is your passive perception, Scarlett?
Me? Oh, it's
Yeah.
19.
Okay. All right. So actually, anyone who has an 18 or higher will gain something out of this too.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. You drink.
There is an amalgam of this fog is gathering near Uncle Owik's workstation. So everyone with that perception can notice that, like, where Uncle Owik's workshop is, where he does a lot of his tinkering, is completely inundated in this fog, and it is imperceptible. You cannot see through it. The only person who can see through it would be Timber, actually, with his devil's sight. And Timber, you would be able to see that the mask is there on the table amongst this gust of fog and shadow that is amalgamating out of it. You would also notice that it's clambering up the side of the wall and roof, creating kind of a half archway of this shadow. The tip of that archway is above Uncle Owik. Where Kieran, with your 30, you would be able to see a thin, viscous strand of ooze is connected down to Uncle Owik from this shadow.
Wait, so Kieran? Okay, I missed where the fog was in relation to Uncle Owik.
Sorry, I didn't give you dimensions. So you wouldn't know. So Uncle Owik's in the center of the room. This is probably, I would say, like a probably 50-foot long room. That's probably about 30 feet wide. from the doorway that you're entering into the room to your right is where the fog is at the end of the room, where Uncle Owik's workstation is and all of his tools. That fog then extends up the right wall, from the right up the ceiling to the midpoint where it hovers above Uncle Owik. Kieran, you can see a thin strand of viscous ooze that comes from that and reaches Uncle Owik.
If anybody's paying attention, Wizwick's like reaching out with one hand, and the other hand is like holding his hand back.
Yeah, Kieran's gonna step forward and kind of like shoo everyone back a little and goes, I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's one of the Pallid King's strings attached to Owik. Kind of tries to point out the ooze strand. Looking at Owik, does he appear to be either possessed, frightened, charmed, or... Yeah, those are the three. Right? Those are the three big ones. You're muted.
Muted.
Possessed, frightened, or charmed?
Yeah.
Give me an insight check. DC 18.
Alright, well that's a 24.
He's not possessed. He is not frightened. It does seem to have a charmed effect on him.
Alright.
It's not necessarily what's incapacitating him. It might
Right.
more so seem that there is something that was more pacifying him.
Sean, where did you say the mask is again? Sorry.
No problem. The mask is in the collective shadows all the way to the right in the room. You can see,
and I think
because you
only
can see
you-
the actual.
You can see it.
You can see the actual workbenches, and it's literally just sitting on his desk, where it was in the vignette we saw.
Looking over at Kieran, do you want me to destroy the mask?
Yes, I don't see it here.
It's within there. The fog.
Using
Give-
my sorry, go ahead, Kieran.
Kieran's just gonna give me a moment, and then I want to make sure that nothing happens to Owik from this. And then he's gonna cast a spell, and while he does that, Scarlet, what were you gonna do?
I wanted to use my blind sense to sense if there's any hidden or invisible creatures within 10 feet of me, and I'll kind of like I'll move around so I can.
No. You don't sense any invisible creatures. When you... how much of a pace around the room are you doing? And then I guess while you're doing that, Timber, you're going towards the mat. Like, you want to try to destroy the mask, right?
Yeah, but before I do that, I'll do one other thing. But...
Okay. So I'll say Scarlet starts on one side of the room, and you can do your one thing.
Yeah.
Teamwork!
I'm gonna kneel down to Ilyvania, who's still holding my arm. But, all right, look, I'm going to walk over there. I'm just going to destroy a bad mask. Just if you want to hold somebody's hand, Sarathil is.
Not Kieran.
Kieran looks back as he's casting the spell using Ilyvania's magic. He's like, "What?"
Rude.
Be right back.
Kieran is gonna cast Dispel Evil and Good,
Okay.
and then he is going to use that to break the enchantment that's over Owik.
Okay. Is there any roll for that, or is that an auto thing? The enchantment
No,
was
this
auto,
is
right?
just this is it severs any kind of charmed, frightened, or possessed effect on a creature.
Cool. So as Scarlet starts to go left, I imagine, and Timber starts to go right, Kieran, you cast this, and it sounds like it's very loud, the sound that happens, because it's like the sound of like a really heavy wire being cut, as there's just sort of this as this strand that was hanging just sort of whips around the room at that. And I need Timber and Scarlet to give me dexterity saving throws.
Oh, they're fine.
Woof. Are they? Because I rolled a 2 and a 3.
I rolled a 3 as well.
Ugh.
It's
So-
DC 20.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no,
I failed.
I failed it too. Fuck.
Okay.
I
Once
get advantage for some reason.
Nope.
Ilyuvanya gives him an advantage because she
Right.
loves him
Yeah,
so
you
much.
get-
Loves him so
there's a
fucking
token that
much.
you guys can all share called Ilyuvanya's love, and you can use it as
Except
for
Kieran.
advantage.
Kieran
Except
doesn't get
Kieran
it.
can't use it.
Oh,
Bad
poor
Kieran.
Kieran.
Bad Kieran.
Okay, so I need you to also give me acrobatics or athletics checks, but you're all gonna. There's gonna be some
Acrobatics.
damage, so if you want to wait until I give you that, because in case you want
Fucking
to.
A.
All right, let's see. It's
I am done with you, dice. I rolled a 2, a 3, and then a 4.
um 44 slashing damage to the two of you.
What was the save?
That was the dex save, so you can have it with evasion.
Well, no, I failed the dex save.
What's the acrobatics for?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. What was your acrobatics?
21.
28.
Okay, you two are fine. Nothing happens from the acrobatics check, but it looks as though the wire that. So let me actually describe the scene to you instead of just saying, "Here's 44 damage." As you step into the room, Kieran breaks the enchantment, which causes this viscous strand to break free from Owik, and it whips around the room, and you feel basically like what would be the effects of, like, for a real world reference, barbed wire slashes across both of you, and attempts in the same movement to grapple you. So as it's slicing across you and dealing this damage, you are both able to twist out of its grasp as it tried to grab anything that was around Owik, basically, to reconnect to a living creature.
So you still take the damage?
Yes.
Uncannily dodging.
Okay.
Timber's gonna fuck, and then he's going to blink towards the mask as to get away as his means of getting out. As
Yeah,
for flavor's
absolutely.
sake.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take out the Aeon Spike and just wail it into the mask.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for an initiative roll now,
Ooh.
Woohoo.
and
Can I
everyone's.
go over and
yes.
help?
We'll see on initiative.
Everybody's initiative.
Yeah, everyone's initiative.
Let's go, baby. Big roll.
Ow!
Wow.
That was a big roll for you.
I should do that. I should do that every time.
Yeah, right. Wow, you beat me.
Ooh.
Sarathil's so sick that he's fast.
All right, 20 to 25.
23.
Holy
go.
shit!
Old man strength.
What was yours, Shannon?
20.
15 to 19.
18.
10 to 15.
13.
10.
You've got double digits this time, Kieran.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right, so I'm gonna have there's gonna be a round that's just Timber and Scarlet, and then everyone will join in the next one. Timber, I'm gonna say like this round was you blinking up to the mask and getting ready to attack it with the Aeon Spike. Actually, I'll let you give me the attack here. And then Scarlet, you'll be up after this.
Okay.
And then we'll go from the top of the order.
25.
Okay, that will hit.
That would be a nice 13 points of damage.
Okay. The mask is not destroyed right away. But it does.
But
take
it does make contact with it and does like
does.
chip it at it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can see that the mask takes damage, unlike the one that Sarathil attacked that didn't take any damage. One might propose that this is still one of the old masks. It's not these new, stronger ones, because this is the one you gave him. But it's still a conduit for stuff. Okay. Go ahead.
Technically, I get 2 attacks.
Yep, I'm allow it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Technically.
For flavor's sake, I'm just driving it further in.
Yeah, no problem.
For a 20.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay, it's a mask. I mean, I hope I can
is it?
hit a beat. My God. 14 points of damage.
Okay, so you run up there, or blink over there, and you bring the Aeon Spike down into it, and you can see, like, it hits the wood, and you can see the point of the Aeon Spike, the kunai, it starts to split the wood a little bit. It looks, it's like you should have, if this was a normal wooden mask, like, you'd have already split it right in half, but you're driving your energy in, and you can see it starts to just, starts to create a wedge in there with the Aeon Spike. You would notice, though, Timber, as this is happening, and only Timber notices this because he has dark vision, or I'm sorry, devil sight, and he's right up on top of it. The fog seems to be coming from the mask, and kind of coming together more. Those of you outside of Timber's range would probably notice the half arch of shadow up on the ceiling starts to retract towards the mask, as it is taking on whatever form it has here. Scarlet, you are up.
Okay, how far away would you say I am from Timber and the mask?
So I said the room was 50 feet long. You were maybe like 5 feet into the left side, so I'd say you're 30 feet from them.
So I'm gonna, I really don't even need to move. So I'm going to, and I'm assuming seeing that, like, I know Timber was the only one that could see the mask, but now that he's engaging with it, can we see it? Can I see it now? No?
Because it's in magical darkness.
Back!
Basically, you just see the back of Timber. Like the back, maybe leg even. You don't even fully see Timber. You just know where Timber linked towards.
Nice. Would you consider the mask a creature?
No.
Fine. All right.
Basically,
well,
for everyone's sake, like, you saw Timber enter into the magical darkness.
All right, I got a good modifier, so I'm gonna take it at disadvantage. I see the general area where he is, so I'm going to use my bonus action to summon Isgoth, and I'm going to attempt to hit it. I'll take it at disadvantage, but focusing on the area where.
Yep. And you're gonna run up, so you're in the reach range.
Well, if I'm 30 feet away and I have yes.
Yeah. Do I get hit on a miss?
Maybe. We want to have some fun here.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
If you're down for it, I'm down for it.
Sure.
All right, here we go. All right.
I would just like to say I'm not down for it.
So that's gonna be a dirty 20.
That will hit.
Excellent. All right, I would like to use.
You just burn. That's just Timber getting burnt with some residual Isgoth ooze.
So I'm gonna roll my actual damage, but then and depending on if that doesn't finish it, then I want to expend a charge of the prongs.
Okay.
So let me roll the actual damage first, which 8. Yeah.
When we come to actual initiative, Sarathil, you're on deck.
16 points of slashing damage plus 9 plus 4, 13 points of fire damage.
It seems resistant to the fire.
Really? It's wood. Timber's engaged with it. Does it mean I guess need to check? Okay, so we've got 5, 10, 15, 21, 25 points of sneak attack damage.
Nice.
Okay, still going.
Yep.
All right. And then I'd like to expend a charge and use Melting Touch. So when I hit a target with Prongs of the Black, I'm going to spend one charge. Well, I guess. Is it wearing non-magical armor?
No. It's not. It's magical artifact.
Yeah, I guess that was dumb. Well, then, can I not do that?
No, you can't do that, unfortunately.
Well, meaning, like, can I not expend the charge even though I said I was going to?
No, that's fine. That's
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, you still dealt 51 damage to it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so basically what Timber you would see is what everyone else would see is Scarlet whipping this magic blade into darkness and something happening on the other side. Maybe some like bursts of magmic energy behind the darkness, creating kind of a thunder
And Timber
effect.
screaming.
And lightning. And Timber being like, oh, where's the... Yeah, like, because like Timber, you're like pushing your spear down into it, and then suddenly just like Isgoth comes whipping in there and just wraps onto the mask. You can see, even though it doesn't work, you shouldn't use the charge. It is trying to melt the mask as Isgoth's wrapped around it. As both of you are pushing energy into this. All right, it is the entity's turn, and then we'll go to the top of normal initiative. All right, so Timber, it's going to target you with a lashing maw. As you can see, some of the shadow that's forming around seems to become corporeal, and it when it becomes corporeal, it comes together and it becomes more like a sludgy ooze that turns into this massive mouth that has dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of needle-like teeth in it that it comes and bites down onto you with. That's actually probably, the first one's probably not going to hit with a 17.
Does not.
Okay, second one.
I move my hand out of there.
Stop doing that.
Second one is a natural 20.
Oh! Ah! Fuck!
Yeah, Scarlet, you might think you're hitting him.
Sorry. Watch out.
Stop!
All right, where am I? Timber, the first bit of damage is going to be 31 piercing damage.
Ah!
And then additional to that, 40 acid damage.
Ah!
Jesus Christ.
And then Timber, I need you to give me a wisdom saving throw.
This is coming from the mask?
It's coming from the fog around the mask. So I would say you all would start to notice now that the fog has receded itself, so you can see Timber now on this creature's turn, and it's become kind of this pillar of smoke and ooze all together that kind of corporealizes, and then as it like breaks apart back into smoke several times, and it is now pulled the mask up out from under Timber's and Spike, and this mask is sort of like in the center of this ooze and shadow, still kind of like a pinpointed area to attack. On moving forward, all attacks now are normal on it because it's no longer hiding within the fog. The fog is now kind of the fog is wearing the mask, but you can see the fog is formed into this maw that is clamped down on Timber's arm, basically. And Timber, what was that wisdom save?
24.
Okay, so Timber, you feel the mask. Well, yes, the mask. The mask's shadow begins to try to eat away at your arm, basically. As that maw then turns into just sort of this ooze that's grappled onto your arm. And as it has you grappled, and you are considered grappled, it's trying to drain life from you, but also memory. It's trying to eat your memories.
Yeah, not my memories.
But you succeed, and it's no problem. It's trying to eat your physical flesh and your spiritual flesh simultaneously.
I'm wailing my arm around.
But that is the Pallid Oblex's turn. Sarathil, you're up, and then Scarlet, you're on deck.
So I can't see this thing.
No, you can. You can now.
Oh, I can.
Mm-hmm.
Use your action to hold Ilyvanya's hand.
Now the creature has, so at first the creature was a cloud of magical darkness, and then it pulled itself together into its physical form, which now means you can see it.
Okay.
The darkness you're looking at that you think the enemy is within is the enemy.
Okay. So it's a dark creature. I'm gonna assume that it's, immune to necrotic damage. Using the old.
It has some feelings about necrotic.
Using the old noggin here. And Timber's just got eviscerated. So actually, how far is Timber from me?
You're at the opening of the room, so he's 25 feet away.
Sarathil will just bolt towards with that 23 initiative roll. He's got that swiftness in his test. Those old man knees just kicked in. And so charge towards Timber while he's running, muttering incantations and placing both his hands on his shoulders, and I'll regenerate him.
Nice.
Ooh!
Nice.
Regain 48 plus 15. You gain 35 life back.
Oh, that's huge. Thank you.
And if you lost any fingers, they grow back.
I'm just thinking about how I'm gonna regrow an arm.
Yeah, right.
Whether or not it's enough time before the Pallid King comes.
This is actually, I think, what is, for the sake of kind of like the effect of this, which it is them trying to rip your arm off. Your arm is like being destroyed inside of its mouth, and Sarathil's like actively just restored it. Like you like were losing your arm, and this acid was burning your arm away, and then your arm like instantly regrew into its former place inside the maw. So you're still grappled by it, but if you get out of it before its next turn, you will be completely intact.
Whew.
Okay. Anything else, Sarathil?
Nope.
All right, Scarlet, you're up. Wizwick, you're on deck.
Okay. I want to. I don't think I need to charge for it because the language doesn't say it, but use the split feature of Prongs of the Black. So I'm gonna have my main hand and offhand both holding.
It does not require a charge.
Yeah. So I want to essentially do what I did for the first attack and then offhand.
Yep, and I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but the offhand would be one of your offhand weapons, not another longsword.
Right. But
So choose whichever one you want.
Yeah, just a dagger.
Cool.
Okay, still disadvantage because we can't see it, right?
Nope. Once again, everyone, you can see what you're attacking now because it is corporealized into an ooze form.
Excellent. I'm sorry, I must have missed that.
No, it's okay.
Right.
It's when I say there's magical darkness and then it turns into a monster, that's confusing.
All right, here we go. Yep, that's 22.
That will hit.
Okay. Ugh. All right, 9 points of slashing damage. Plus 6 plus 7, 13 points of fire damage. Yeah, Timber's still involved, engaged with it.
Yes. He's inside it. Or part
Gross.
of him is.
6, 12, 17, 24 points of sneak attack damage.
24?
Yep.
Nice.
And then offhand with the dagger.
Wow, go for it. Freaking Rose.
Nice. That's gonna be 32.
Oh yeah, to hit. Yeah, that'll hit.
Yep.
I was like, 30 points of damage from a dagger.
No.
Yeah, I know.
So thank you. I almost rolled a d8 and a d4. Fucking 1 point of me.
119.
Yeah, but does that?
Oops. I just said how much damage you guys have dealt to it. Someone adds up when he's doing the monster's health, not takes away.
So when I split Prongs of the Black,
yes, it gets the. So if you read Prongs of the Black, it does get additional fire damage. It's not as much as the main hand,
right?
But I think it's 2d6.
It's 2d6. It's yeah. That's what I was wondering. So 7. So half that.
Okay.
Cool.
Excellent. The creature. I mean, the entity, the oozy shadow is kind of struggling here, it looks bloodied for sure.
Just trying to burn it,
Mhm.
even though I don't know it's not doing as much, but that's all I got. Jesus Christ. Sorry, Josh, you scared the shit out of me.
The stream can't see him there. We can.
Nice.
He brought me
Oh,
dinner.
look!
Oh.
I'm
Do you have
down.
enough for the whole crew?
No, this is my pizza. Get your own. Can I have a soda too, please? Thank you.
Okay. That's it for Scarlet. She's going to take the next part of the round to eat some pizza.
Eat dinner.
Wizwick, you are up. The enemy is on deck, and then Timber and Curon.
All right, a few quick details, Sean.
Yes.
Is there still a dark shadow like connecting to Uncle
No.
Owik?
No, the shadow is pulled itself away from Owik and is now amalgamated around the mask. So just for everyone's general perspective, it's as if you have the mask there floating, and behind it is just sort of the shape of mist and ooze forming a cloud attached to the mask, and that is kind of the ooze enemy.
Okay. I've been thinking about what to do, and I keep changing my mind. I'm going to use a bonus action to change my face, essentially, and become a different gnome, so I can tap into some magics that I don't have on my list right now. I can only do this once a day. And I'm going to cast a 3rd level spell by the name of Slow on him.
Oh, great. And that's a
So-
saving throw, right?
Yes, wisdom saving throw.
Okay, you got it.
DC 20, I think.
Okay, it has advantage because it's a magical effect, but it's not super great at this. It fails for sure.
Nice. All right, so it's slow now.
Okay, and that's no reactions, -2 to its AC. And it can only
Dexterity
do
saving throws.
one action.
One action per turn, yeah. Either an action or a bonus action, not both.
Cool. And -2, okay. Excellent. All right, so you watch as the creature now, which was kind of like flailing these tendrils, these pseudopods out from the shadows, is now kind of... As like Timber, you're like struggling. You can see this mouth is just kind of very slowly clamping down on your arm. Okay. All right. I think that's everything for you, Wizwick. Is there anything else you want to do?
I think I'm gonna walk over to Owik and grab his like shoulder and try and wake him up.
Yeah, I'll definitely allow you to do that. As you pull him kind of out of this like curled up fetal position he's in, and you can see he's kind of like, now you can see his face. There does seem to be kind of lacerations on his face a bit, where you can see the blood coming from it is kind of like blackened, like the ooze that attacked him. He seems to have been like at least like some part of his health has been affected by this too, not just magically, but also perhaps someone might say this mask is trying to imbibe him with the pallid rot and that he didn't have originally. So he does look sick. I mean, you see his eyes open just slightly. He is in this feverish state. He's still muttering, and his eyes do open slightly as he looks up at you.
I scream out to the party. And at this point, I haven't, diminished my guise of like another gnome. So it kind of sounds like not Wizwick's voice. Like it still sounds like a Snurfneblin voice, but it's a little altered. And I say something along the lines of,
He's not. Something's still affecting him. I gotta get him out of here. For healing.
And I start, pulling him. Well, I guess I don't know if I can, but I'd use the rest of my movement to try and pull him, or
Absolutely.
attempt to. I have half movement, so it's probably not that far.
No, I'd say you'd at least get him off the table and down into the ground where you're about, I'd say, 10 feet away from the hallway where you can find some cover.
Yep.
Okay, so it is the Pallid Oblex's turn, and then Timber's on deck. It only has one action, no reactions, and the action has to be its action or bonus action. So it is going to go for Timber, who is on top of him right now. Timber.
It could only make one ranged melee. I mean, it could only make one melee attack.
If it was like doing a
multi attack or something
can't
like
use
that.
its multi attack. Cool. So it is going to do a not special action, but like one of its other actions instead of a multi attack. Timber, you can see as you're being held on by this thing. One, there's going to be some natural damage that happens to you as you're still grappled. If you're still grappled at the top of your turn. Right now, it's not going to do anything because it only has one action. You see, coming off of the ooze behind the shadow, you see there's one big tendril comes up. And you see it forms into a cloudy oculus that stares at you. And you can see just sort of this serpentine eye slit in there that's opaque. And then suddenly that cloudy orb glows a bright red that creates like long shadows in the room, and all of you would see that as well. And Timber, I need you to give me a dexterity saving throw.
Sean, is this a spell?
No, it's not.
Okay.
25.
Okay. So 25 is a success.
Oof.
But you're still going to take some damage.
Is this an area effect or just a direct?
It's a direct. It's a direct.
Okay.
It's the kind of thing you dodge, not an area of effect that you.
Yeah, I just was wondering
Or
if evasion would apply.
Evasion has to be kind of like a cone or a circle or something like that, not a targeted thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you.
Cool. Just checking because in my head I was always just like, it's dexterity save. You get to save against it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's roll this damage. All right, Timber. So the total damage, which you can have because you were a success, is a 48.
Okay.
48 force damage. As you see this disintegrating ray kind of bursts out from this eye, very much like, metagame outside of this, very much like a beholder's disintegration ray eye. Blasts into you. You're able to kind of dodge as much as you can, but you still take that damage, half of that. But that is all it can do because it can only do one thing on its turn. So Timber, it's your turn now. At the top of your turn, you're going to take some acid damage.
It also needs to roll a wisdom saving throw to try and break the slow.
Okay. You're going to take 19 acid damage, Timber.
Okay.
And you said it makes a wisdom save, right?
That's right.
All right, so it rolled a 19.
No good.
All right, so it is still slowed. All right, Timber, you're up. Huron, you're on deck.
Oh, I just muted myself.
And then Ilyvania is after Huron.
I'm really pissed. Timber's just gonna keep mashing his fist on the table.
Yes. I love it.
Trying to break this. 27.
That'll definitely hit.
12 points of damage. And each one of these is going to be a stunning strike.
I know. Oh, I knew that was coming.
It has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws.
Is it dex or is it con?
Constitution.
Dang.
Okay. All right. First one is a failure with a nat 1.
Okay. All right. I'm going to punch again for a 19.
Stunned. Yeah.
Oh, wait. I have advantage on
You
this.
have advantage
actually.
now, yeah.
19.
19, yeah,
That's a
that
minus
definitely
2.
hits. That definitely hits.
Okay.
I'll also
right.
say, Timber, that because it is stunned, it releases your arm.
Oh, thank gosh. All right, I'm still gonna punch it on the table after it releases.
Yep.
You've learned nothing. Just keep punching it.
Yes. And then 9 for the second damage.
Okay.
And then Furia blows.
Hell yeah.
18.
Flirt.
That hits.
It's a flirt.
It's a furious flurry.
It's
flurry.
a furious 13 points of damage. And for my
Flurry
last,
blow.
my furry blows. And then 27 points of damage.
27 points of damage?
Oh, so no, it's 27 to hit.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, and the last one is 15 points of damage.
Okay.
Let's go, Timber.
Timber, do you have anything else to deal damage?
Do I have anything else?
Is that
to
all
do?
your damage? All the damage you can do?
If you could make one of my main attacks by a key, my key rupture.
I'll allow it.
All right, I'll do that then. 3d8 force damage for 8 points of damage.
Timber, how do you want to do this?
Exactly like that. So I want having being grappled at the beginning of this turn, and due to Sarathil regenerating Timber's arm, Timber's like, oh, I have like, it's this weird thing where like you're in pain but you also feel really good. So Timber's just gonna keep just knowing this. He's gonna just keep sacrificing his arm and just keep wailing. He's get off my freaking head, and just keep wailing on the table until he sees some cracks, and then he's just gonna get even more motivated, and then just keep punching after it releases.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, Timber, you're just like wailing into the mask itself, and splinters, cracks. And even as it breaks, you just keep punching into the table where it was and breaking parts of the table, splintering the wood. Any pieces of the mask you're punching as well until it's just so small that it wouldn't even be worth trying to punch parts of it. As you do that, the fog and ooze just spreads itself out across the room. It's severed from the mask at this point, and it almost torrents forward, trying to grasp at all life around it. And I need everyone to give me a Constitution saving throw, because this is not. When I say this thing is torrenting across the room, I'm saying this is not something you can dexterity throw away as it moves across the room.
What was the roll?
Con save.
Bang.
12.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's a DC 20, so whoever got less than 20.
Yes.
Let me know who made the save.
Me. I got exactly a 20.
Wiz and Sarathil made the save.
You should be giving me more rolls. I got a 28, baby.
Jesus, it's your day. It's your
Wow.
day.
Let's go.
All you need to
the
do is
luck.
get sick to roll well.
Apparently.
Sickness be gone. So the total damage, so those of you succeeded take half, is 28 acid damage. And as that spreads across, anyone who didn't succeed, I need to also give me a wisdom saving throw. It's not a super high DC.
17.
Okay.
21.
17.
You all succeed. The ooze has no effect on you. It doesn't wither into you, wriggle its way into your minds at all, as it spreads across.
How much damage did we take, Acid?
28.
That's full.
That's full.
Yeah.
As it spreads across like this, you would notice that the last of it solidifies down into a sort of like a heap of flesh that is sort of in the shape of the upper torso of a humanoid. And you can see his two arms are trying to pull itself closer as one hand reaches out for Uncle Owik. The face is kind of this like wretched skull with the jaw unhinged, as this is the last of whatever creature was summoned here through the mask.
Can I step on it?
Yeah.
Step on it. Squish it.
You hear this loud squealing noise as it reaches its last hand, as it seems to go still as the ooze just becomes a puddle.
With Owik still in his arms, Wizwick's face turns normal and just screams out to the rest of the party, "I still need some help over here!"
Yeah, Kieran is going to come over to Wizwick and Uncle Owik, and going to, working with Wizwick. What seems to be the problem? I thought I severed the connection.
I just show him my hand, and there's like this black blood on it.
This is the same black
Pallid rot.
blood that's in.
Pallid rot.
Yes, Pallid Rot. All right, so Kieran is going to cast Dispel Evil and Good again, and this time he's going to use that targeted dismissal.
Absolutely. All right, I will do the saving throw.
Charisma 22.
Yeah, you dispel it easily. It got an 11.
Imagine almost this time it's like Kieran's like sucking it out of all the wounds, so you see this black coming out and like into a ball, and then he just crushes it, and it just disappears back to the corrupted Feywild.
Yeah, and you can even even looking at this, you can even surmise that like that creature that you just killed was kind of like a living amalgam of this ooze, of this pallid rot. That was a moving pallid rot that has these imbued abilities like that come from all the aspects of the Pallid King. It has a little bit of that beholder magic from the inherent Nialogith within the Pallid King, who is known as the King of the Beholders, and creator of the Beholders. And then you had that rotting effect of the Pallid Rot, as well as some of the eating of memories and those sorts of things. But it was destroyed. The mask is also destroyed, and it's actually destroyed, not like the one you had to banish. You'd see the shards of the mask. Uncle Owik weakly coughs. And his eyes very, very weakly open as he'll reach a hand up. Wizwick, do you still look like someone else?
No, I would say he probably looks like himself. It only lasts one round.
I would also say, generally speaking, Wizwick, there is a focus in your mind where you feel singularly as Wizwick as you can possibly be with the many within you, as you Uncle Owik looks at you. And he does reach his hand up and kind of just sort of, he doesn't really know he seems very feverish still, although the sickness has left him. And he reaches up to grab your hand. Wizwick?
That's right. I'm back. Don't worry. You're gonna be all right. I'm here now.
I thought you were dead. Dead. No. And his hand grasps yours tightly and pulls it to his chest. And you see a smile spread across his face. He says, no, you are not.
I kind of... No.
Come on. Don't you believe me? With a teacher as great as you, how could I let a little death stop me?
And I give him a little smirk. But you could see the pain in my eyes.
You're not Wizwick. You are more. He smiles very brightly to you as you remember that you've achieved what he always wanted to achieve in this discovery.
When he says Noldigra, Wizwick's his caring eyes just turn that amber glow for a minute that you usually see when he communes with when the other minds are speaking to him, but it fades as quickly as it appears, and he says,
"That's right. I did what you could not. But it cost me everything. I've returned to prove to the others that your dreams were real and that we could one day return to Noldigra's side together as a people. But
Yes.
that time is not now. Not for you.
I don't know about that. Come. Help me up.
I
Come
smile
on.
and
Help me
pull
up.
him up. Yeah, I'm doing it.
I'm still your uncle. Don't cry. And you lift him up and you can feel how weak he is. How frail he is.
I pull a chair over with I guess I don't have anything to do that. But I reach over and grab a chair and pull it behind him so he could sit down.
And he kind of looks now to the rest of you gathered around, recognizing you. I'm happy to see you are all still kicking.
Yes, Uncle Owik, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. I should have never left such a dangerous artifact with you.
It's okay. One last adventure for Owik. It was a bit too much for me, Kiran. I didn't think it would be so formidable.
Pallid King's power grows. Even with Noldigra's strength, we still just barely hold him back. We believe he will become free. His physical form will enter this plane in 6 days. Including today, which is more like 5.
Well, I don't think I had enough time to tell you everything I learned. But I can... His face gets very serious. He looks like he's looking beyond this room to a far horizon. And his eyes lift up to yours, Wizwick. I can tell you. Noldigra.
Wizwick, upon saying Noldigra again, you see the flash in Wizwick's eyes, and this time it takes a little bit longer for it to turn back into Wizwick's normal glare. And you see the pain in his face, and he says,
I don't like where this is going. You're not thinking what I think you're thinking, are you?
There's nothing left of me now, Wizwick. I am too weak. I am ready to no longer be Owik Worf Brugni Ferhergi Qui Stonehenge.
Wizwick says,
I can't help you if you decide to do this. The powers of Noldegor are strong. I can barely hold on to myself. I don't know if you'll be able to make it to keep yourself. One, you can't just give up like this.
I won't be lost. I have my nephew to guide me. To be my light, as he always has been.
Wizwick's crying now, and he says,
You were my light. You were the only thing holding me back. The only thing that kept me from losing myself. Coming home, you're the only one that I wanted to see. You always knew me best, and I just can't lose you.
You're not losing me, Wizwick. I am going beyond, and only can go there because of you. I saw the world, and you saw more. So now you are the guide. I must rest. I deserve to rest. Bloody. It's all Svirfneblindu.
you could see on his face, Wizwick's not taking this well.
Kieran kneels down next to Wizwick and puts an arm on his back and goes, Friend, listen to your uncle. He's right. You're not losing him. He's joining you now. The druids would say, the weaves of all things. His knowledge, his experience will become yours. Together he will continue on this journey with us. Turning to Owik, Kieran goes, It is the right of all. Finally, get some rest.
Thank you to all of you for letting me see my nephew again in this way, and for helping save the Underdark, and hopefully the world. I'm tired. Help your uncle to his bed.
Wizwick's his face hasn't changed, but you can see the veins of amber light glowing throughout his body, pulsing, showing that they're welcoming, almost like they're welcoming Owik. And he picks up his uncle with newfound strength, lays him in the bed, his hand reaches out over his face, and Wizwick, still his face is his own, but his body's glowing with this amber light, and it's slowly creeping up. And he looks down at, the one he loved the most, and smiles and says, "Well, old man, I guess this is the end of the road. But like you said, a new one begins. I'll always remember you. We will. As one of the greatest gnomes to ever live." And energy starts glowing out of his hand, and the light leads up into Wizwick's eyes as Owik has a few last moments.
And you would hear Owik as he rests, his hand lets go of Wizwick's, and he passes much as he lived. What great things wait for me beyond. Thank you. Thank you. He looks to Wizwick one last time.
And he looks at Wizwick's face. It's blank. It no longer has the portrayal of Wizwick's face, but it's a clean slate, ever morphing.
I'll find you in there, Jedri. And he passes beyond to Noldegra to rest amongst the mines of the Zirfneblin, to join with Wizwick, something that would not have been possible before.
Yeah, for a brief second you see the light of Noldegra glow in his own veins as the soul returns to where it needs to be. And if maybe just the people with ridiculous passive perception would even see Owik's face in Wizwick's for a second.
For sure.
And then he's gone. And Wizwick stands there, lost of all of his emotion, maybe even hiding from it, as this glow just emanates from him.
I'd like to go give him a hug, Wizwick a hug, and kind of just say, this is how at least this is how I felt when we lost you. I'm sorry.
Wizwick embraces the hug, but you can tell something changed inside of him, and he says,
"Now's not the time to mourn. We have a world to save." That's what he would have. That's what he wants.
You're allowed to feel sad, Wizwick. Don't hide it. Just don't, feel it forever.
I know. Thank you. But now's not the time.
Walk Walking forward, Kieran says to Wizwick, if you'd like, I can perform a ceremony, funeral of sorts for him. Or if you'd rather, we can go meet your family. Let them know.
Yeah, he puffs up his chest and says, as far as I see it, the ceremony's already done. But we will tell the others. Let them bury the body the Snurfneblin way. I wish to speak to the leaders of this town as well. Much has changed, and they need to be ready to change with it. They can no longer hide from their troubles. Their one guiding light has passed away.
And come, Wizwick. Let's spread that message.
In the waning minutes of this conversation, Timber, you would notice Ilivania stepped up.
Okay.
She's with you. She steps up to the group next to you.
I was gonna say Timber would actually probably be in the other room still, just slouched against the desk with his arm, just in a lot of pain, just I don't have energy to go over there.
Yeah, no, Timber, then I'll change the way I say this in the Timber. You notice Ilivania, who has been sitting next to you this whole time.
Okay, there you
go. and kind of just patting and healing your arm. As it's not you know that there's kind of Wizwick's last words are going on in there and all of that, and Uncle Owik's last words. It's the moment Owik passes and leaves this space that Ilivania drops your hand abruptly and just stands up and walks into that room, carefree. Kieran, you would notice her stepping into the room as all of everything that just happens, and Wizwick has just said you say it's time to do this, and she steps in and she just sort of wanders close to Owik and looks at him like a kid at a funeral. And she steps up to the body. And Wizwick, you would see this as well. And just rests a hand on his chest. As far as both of you are concerned, though, Owik is no longer there, really. And this is entirely Ilivania offering her respects. She almost leans up and seems to whisper something into Owik's ear.
Can I hear what she said?
No.
32.
32. But she does then stand up and turns and looks at Kieran. So much pain. This is the threat you speak of.
Yes. Pallid King. Corrupting, worming his way into all things that are eating away inside. Just as he did with this one here.
I understand. I understand. And she walks away, back towards Timber. And I'll say, if you all would like to use sort of the next few hours of time left in the day that you have to do actionable things,
Hey.
Mute yourself. Okay, good.
You can use that to take the time to speak with the Council of the Zerf Neblin, spread the word, and acquire Smoothold as an ally. A full ally. This is entirely possible because of your subtle disruption of the cult of the Bat King, of the Bat here. There is still a presence, but it is much smaller than it would be if you had not influenced the way you did to affect the Smoothold Society. And with this, you can begin elaborating the story of Noldegra as well amongst the community. But for now, I will say, having come here to stop the Pallid threat within Smoothold, you have secured them as an ally in the efforts moving forward.
Just to add to that, Sean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I don't want to take up too much time.
Sure.
But I would like to, after a small rest, you know,
Mm-hmm.
later in the night, I want to cast a spell, like something basic, just creation or something like that. And that'll give me enough gemstones to begin, you know, multiplying my power. And with that, I want to expend 5 charges and create the Bulwark Shop of Noldegra within Smoothold, just for the night.
Absolutely.
And with that, you know, Wizwick walks around town quietly creating things from, you know, basically he's just gathered Noldegra's power to the height of its, you know, abilities and created a sort of layer that he can mold to his own wills
Mm-hmm.
within this area. And it only lasts a certain amount of time, but he uses it to create statues of Uncle Owik and other great Snurf Neblin souls that exist with bust, like small, you know, engravings of their deeds, and
Yeah.
each
absolutely.
one ends with their soul was welcome to Noldegra with open arms. And, you know, once he gets to the center of town,
Mm-hmm.
he puts his own statue. And the same thing, he doesn't, he makes the statue of himself, but he doesn't put a long list of deeds. He just says, the Archon of Noldegra. His soul is welcome to Noldegra with open arms.
Absolutely.
And, you know, whatever else he can do around town, you know, clean up the place a little bit, you know, fix the cobblestones, maybe.
100%. Mend to the tunnels that need mending.
Yep.
Wizwick
Suddenly,
works.
you know, like, walks to the mine. Looks like there was, like, a couple of days worth of, like, getting this one boulder out of the way. It just falls apart.
Yes, and people notice, very much so. You know, it has a significant impact upon them to see these things and to understand them. And this is compounded with the stories that have been spread since the Wayward Five's departure as the Bat Cult was ousted in the public institutions of Smoothold, of the Twilight Shepherd that walked with Wizwick, Bilgru, Farlight, Yellen, Jedri, Petri, Netherrock, and the others, champions of Iluvania. All of Smoothold knows of both the Wayward Five and now somewhat
Their
vindicated,
history.
somewhat vindicating Owik, their history.
And, you know, Wizwick's face returns after doing this. And he's been doing this, you know, not from his memories, but from what Owik taught him of his ancestry when he was a child.
Mm-hmm.
He's, you know, proving to himself that, you know, he believes this as much as he's not being controlled by this other entity. As much as he believes in his ancestors, you know, he remembers this for his own sake. And he
Absolutely.
wants, you know, everybody else to do the same.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this all happens over the span of the rest of the day and evening, leading into the night, where you can prepare for the next day, or send out messages that you may need to send out for this evening, because it's not like midnight, it's more like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So the day's actions are done, but the evening's actions are still available for tonight.
Can I ask our 3 magic-y friends here? And I mean, Timber, you can listen to. Fine. I understand that others may need to have a higher priority, but if any of you have the capability, I wish I did, but we haven't rested. If you could tell my brother that I'd like to speak with him, and for the
Kieran
purpose,
immediately is just shaking his head.
let me finish. I'd like to try to persuade him to fight on our side.
I'm sorry, Scarlet. I just want to understand correctly.
I don't care if you think it's a good idea. I don't care if you think it's worth it. I want to try, and I think I can get through to him. I'm out of sending spells, so I can't talk to him I can't ask him until tomorrow.
Well, unless someone else has an available slot, more important to reach out to, that will actually offer us aid. We're not already corrupted by the Pallid King.
You see, anger flashes across her face, but I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm afraid I have nothing else left for the time being.
With this, hearing what everybody else replies, Wizwick goes up to Scarlet and says,
You know, I was the first to say that he might be too far gone, but if today has shown me anything, it's not to underestimate the power of family.
and you see a bunch of the gemstones that are floating above him get expended, and he casts sending to the Thatcher, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you. And all I want to say is we need to talk, and that's just a note for him when we go to sleep, for him to come knocking on my dream door.
Wizwick mentions,
Hello there, Thatcher.
wait, hold on, I gotta count this.
That's 3 words. I'll count for you.
Remember me? I'm guessing no. Still alive. Scarlet wants to talk to you.
Those count.
Hope things are cool between us.
Is it 22 or 21?
I had 24.
Oh, then I got 2 more.
Love, Wizwick.
You got 1 more.
Oh,
Bye.
wait. Then instead of Wizwick, I write Noldegra, and he'll just not know who the fuck that is.
Hey, he knows you as Abe Scone.
That's
Oh,
right.
oh,
Abe.
You know the message reached him, but he does not respond.
Okay. Well, yeah. I just look at her and I was like,
I think you got it.
Much appreciated. And just so you all know, in the spirit of transparency, that is what I'm planning on doing.
Remember, he's connected to the Pallid King. He can see everything within your mind. This is when it counts the most, Scarlet. You endanger us again. Endanger everything we're working towards.
Did it not also occur to you, Kieran, that he may not want the influence of the Pallid King? Do you not remember that he said that he beat him? And that he might, whatever his plan is, it might not be in alignment with the Pallid King?
Yeah, who's he gonna murder if the Pallid King gets to all of them first?
Thatcher has said a lot of things. One thing we do know, wields a pallid mask. Wants nothing else to corrupt you as well, Scarlet.
I am aware. I understand. And I'm trying really hard not to bite your head off right now. I wasn't asking permission. I was just letting you know.
Duly noted. Kieran says as he exits whatever room we're in.
Yeah, I imagine you guys are in the guest bedroom area of Wizwick's family. Or wherever. Are there other sendings that would like to be sent tonight?
Oh, are there other sendings?
Let's hear them, buddy.
First, we'll use. Yeah. I have to use my 9th level for this. Sending to Valen.
Sending triple plus.
Yes.
Mega sending.
At this point, I almost
it's like
imagine
a premium Zoom room. You get up to 2,000 participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just
4K
sending
quality.
to everyone that we need to like get a big round table going? Sending to Valen.
Corporate sending.
Corporate sending.
Corporate sending.
Level sending.
CC all.
BCC,
all.
so they don't know who else is there.
And they don't
good,
reply
good.
all.
Yeah.
Oh, too real.
Greetings, Honoro. I apologize for the lack of communication. Much has happened in the past few months. Queen Ayla is dead, and we have resurrected Ilivania, though she's not quite what I expected. The Pallid King pushes against the veil of our plane. Final battle approaches. Can our allies in Terum Ran make it to Elysia at Theris Moor 5 days time? Please let me know. I hope all is well with you. I look forward to meeting again in happier times. Your friend, Kieran.
You hear the voice back that you haven't heard in a very long time. The similar greeting in the more Sylvan dialect of Elvish. Nogala. It is good to hear your voice again. We have made many pathways forward with the communes of Teramran. I do hope that was a bit odd, but given that I am hearing your voice again, I am assuming that Talray helped your party as I asked him to. There are new threats in the forests of Teramran. A violent, horrific murder happened on the edge of the commune forest to the southwest. And there have been reports of creatures in the night made of rot. The Fomorian grows more erratic and afraid, babbling about some threat. If this proves manageable, something we can destroy without risking the forest's health, I believe Elspeth and Taramran, at least together, can convince the communes to send some aid over the mountains. Stories say there is a great horned devil that stalks the outer communes at night. Form of a wood elf, but disfigured and more violent. The commune leaders fear it is part of what you have told me about the threat coming to the world. I don't know if there's any advice you can offer us about it, or if you know anything. But the Fae font run dry in Teramran. Whether we like it or not, we must go out into the world to help fill them back up. I will see what I can do for you. Donther Nagara. That's the end of his message.
Okay.
But you did a sending plus. If you want to send anything back, you can.
Yeah. I think Kieran will just kind of generally update him. You don't really need to roleplay, let him know that Talray was a benefit and that Gloman is aiding us, and say that he is not aware of this wood elf. He, in his, ever kind of altruistic way, offers the Wayward Five's help in dealing with this, but does not give like a concrete, we'll show up on this time and do this.
Yeah.
It's more like this sounds like a lieutenant of the Pallid Kings. May benefit us to meet him before the coming and deal with it. I'll be in touch. Maybe we can coordinate our forces.
Yes, and perhaps I can talk to the communes here, and we can portion off some of the forces of Terramron to head north, while the rest deal with whatever threat is in the south if it grows too large for just me, Elspeth, and Terramron.
Until then, be safe, friend.
You as well.
We have lost too many. Many more will fall in the coming fight.
Yes. We can all feel it. The withering.
Also, I think, again, just off, he mentions Kinsley's death.
Oh, yeah.
And just almost like as a, hey, you outlived that bastard. Good job.
And that's the vibe of that conversation with him. He does express some sorrow over the man he was, because he did have an admiration for Kinsley when he was less power hungry and warmongering. And he is only alive because of Kinsley. So he does kind of just say a great shame on that house, unfortunately. But he made his choices. I believe the communes feel the withering and know the threat. I think they will be willing to help, no matter what.
My heart sings to hear such a thing. I'll be in touch.
Yes. And the general vibe you get as far as pulling allies and whatnot is that the Wood Elves know what's going on probably better than anyone else, as they would all feel the loss of the Ashkeeper and the Font Mother, and would just by their very nature have quarrel with the Pallid King. So the Wood Elves, under the guidance of Elspeth, Terramron, and Valen, will at the very least commit half their forces to you, depending on how the situation with Koshan plays out.
Who?
Someone.
Just kidding. Yeah. Cool guy.
He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude.
Hey, he's good. Hey, he's a good guy.
So this is basically creating a half ally, in the sense of if you want to deal with anything next session, which is really the last session to deal with anything, you can, to gain full alliance forces.
All right. Next is ascending to the Ardent Eye. Ardent Eye, I send to you with grim tidings. Eladra has returned, but the Pallid King comes in 5 days. Can you come to Elysia?
Yes. Yes. I have seen it. And we have sent our hunters to request the aid of the Empire. If that is successful, we will be there. But we cannot get there without the aid of the Empire's wizards.
What empire is he talking about?
Gwyn Empire.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Basically he's saying, we have no way of actually getting to you in 5 days.
Yes.
Physically. But if we receive the aid of the Gwyn Empire, who is allied with the Beastlands, who they are technically under the territory of, they will be there. The Kobold Hunters will be there. They just need the magic.
All right. Next is ascending to Damukna. Holy Damukna, Eladra has returned, but the Pallid King comes. I beseech for your help. we make our stand at Theris Moor. Please, aid us.
In whatever chamber you're in right now making these messages, you would see any torchlight in the area would run low for a moment. And one in particular, say there's 4 in this room, one of them burns a little brighter as there's sort of a unnatural wind through the space. As you can see, that fire just looks like a large wolf for a moment, running. And as the gods, other than those that are very forthright, they leave you only a sigil.
Just under his breath, he goes, I'll take it. Next is ascending to everyone's favorite chained god, Hadric.
This one we do need to roll a d20 for.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Because what's 10%, right?
Yeah, so on a 1. It's a nat 20.
And the complete opposite.
All right. It is time. I call upon you once more. The Pallid King comes, and we make our stand at Theris Moor. Join us, please. Fix it.
And you hear the voice, even though he can't talk in front of you, he uses telepathic communication, so you would hear Hadric's voice. I will stretch my chains as far as I can. There has never been any sign that I have seen over years, millennia, to show a pathway to remedying my many sins. Until I met you. If I am able, I will help.
All right, and then we're gonna send a little message to everyone's favorite Smith Drake Fearsoul. Great.
Even in this realm?
Yeah, you need a d20 for that too.
That's fair. 8, so
Too good.
Great Smith Drake, I beseech you now in our time of need. The Pallid King comes from the material plane. Please send whatever help.
You would actually hear a response, but it's a bit difficult to understand as you just hear this deep voice bellowing in your mind for a moment.
What voices are these new? No torment, conflict, war. No, not again. No.
Though he speaks this way, it's not inherently a firm statement. It's just a reaction from a painfully tortured god.
Right. That's fair. Alright, and that's all the spell slots I have of it.
Okay.
Wizwick's got some.
Well, if you've got more people to send to, I had prepped my sticky notes.
I could cast sending all night, but I have a limit. Maybe just one to Kalra, because that's pretty much the only person that Wizwick really gives a shit about.
Okay.
Something along the lines of,
It's been a long time. how goes your research? By the way, the world's ending. I could use a little assistance. We're in Alicia right now. Let me know if you can send help. Love, Wizwick.
You would definitely get a response from Kalra, as she would say, Wizwick, is that you? I can't... Actually, did you ever tell Kalra that Wizwick was dead? I don't think so.
Nah.
Yeah. Wizwick, it is so good to hear from you. It has been too long. The
You
research
might have
is...
tried to send to me,
Yeah,
and that
actually,
didn't work.
not. Yeah, I'll take that all back. She would have probably tried to send you by now after she hadn't heard from you in months. Wizwick, I tried to talk to you, and it said there was no presence left here. It's good to know that my worst fears are not true. To answer your question, the work is good. That smith you sent is rather handy when working with these materials. I think I may have some things that can help you. When you have a more specific location in mind for me to come to, perhaps we can find a way for me to teleport to you. If the world is really ending, then I want to be there. You know, that's what she sends.
Yeah, so, I'll just send a quick one back. It will be done.
Mhm.
And as we were thinking, I'm actually just going to go to Curon and say,
What news do you have of my sister?
What?
You don't...
She's here, Wizwick. With your family.
She is?
Yes. After you died, I reached out to her. She returned, and it was only because of her that we were able to even get into Smoothold. Sister and Uncle Owik helped us during our brief sojourn here. Did you not see her when we went to your family and did all those things off screen?
I would say off screen, Wizwick didn't even go to his family's house.
Oh, okay.
But after hearing you say that, he just starts running over there because he wants to
goodbye.
face.
Bye.
See you later!
A wonderful time.
I'm still in that other room or whatever with Ilyvania. There's two people I want you to, or I shouldn't say people, but there are two figures I want you to meet. One of which I need to bring forth now. Or at least try to. And Timber is gonna take out the old quill and some ink and some parchment and attempt to summon Astraeus or Noct.
Yeah. So you go through the old ritual.
Yeah.
And
I like to think that she goes on her her elbows and she's kicking as she's watching me just like inscribe these sigils
in your own blood.
Yeah, in my own blood.
Yeah. I imagine she gets like at random points she's mainly just intrigued with this ritual, and then comes up close anytime you do something specific. So when you like cut yourself to create the ink and to pull it, she just is very close, uncomfortably close, looking at it, watching every single magical detail. As you burn the incense, you write the note, you burn the note, to summon Astraeus. And then you watch as the smoke of the incense, you see the owl with the starry eyes does appear.
Knocked. I know it's not right of me to ask you for more aid, but obviously you're aware of the current situation. But any assistance to help guide our people or influence our people to motivate them to pursue and put an end to this threat that is the Pallid King. Your presence, your guidance to them will be more than anything. I ask this of you to show yourself to them, to aid in this time of need. And also, this is Ilyuvanya, as you probably know.
And you see the owl, who's just watching you at first, then turns and looks to Ilyuvanya, and she just holds her hand out, and Noct immediately flies to her hand and lands in it, and then kind of hops up her arm and onto her shoulder, where she kind of like gives Noct, your ever-guiding god, the most powerful being that you've ever met and known at the time of starting this adventure, and gives him a little scritch. And the owlhead shakes and turns. As Ilyuvanya, you can't see it, but you can feel that she's smiling underneath the mask.
Of course I know him. I think I never knew him, but I know he's my brother.
Oh.
Yes.
Timber's like set back by that piece of information.
Yeah, and you're not sure exactly, because, you know, like, so many people have said the word brother around you and meant something completely different. But there is a instant seeming connection between the two. She seems to scratch at this owl. And it's not like he suddenly becomes a like god to her and forms into this 16-year-old boy with a moon mask. But you know, that connection seems to, one, it connects directly to what the ritual spoke to you. The hidden sister, the rising brother. It's not necessarily that Noct has always been this hidden brother that was somewhere in the world, but maybe perhaps this remanifestation with the resurrection of Ilyuvanya has become more of a brother, a sibling to the resurrected god than a replacement.
Well, I'm glad I can help you reunite you with your family. At least somewhat.
And as you say that, Ilyuvanya looks back to you as Noct kind of flutters up and lands on the top of the moon mask, and it's just perched there, and then looks down at you. You still feel that, like, the simplicity of his movements around her does not strip him of the gravity his starry eyes impose upon you. But there seems to be an understanding in those eyes that he will send your message.
What time of day is it?
Right now it's probably like 9-10 o'clock at night.
All right, Yuzo goes to bed early, so I'm gonna give me one moment. Timber is going to try to dream his brother.
Excellent. What does this dream look like? You are successful.
It looks like back in the day when they were kind of the area in which they grew up, which was not the Sulk. Very, very young. Just like a field. I realized that where they grew up, I never specified in my backstory. So let's say it's near Drak.
Yeah, you always implied that it was either in Drak or like in the Sulk itself.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be a mixture of the two, but later years in the Sulk. So yeah, let's say the fields in Drak. And nowhere crazy, but someplace they used to hang out as kids. And Timber will approach him in the fields as himself, not as hybrid form that Timber is. Yuzo.
He seems for a moment to have been like distracted by this memory of this place until you call out his name, and he turns quickly, and there's this deep and immediate gratitude in his eyes and joy at seeing you. He runs as fast as he can through the field to you to hug you. Which is odd. Like you were all a very happy family together, but Yuzo was always a little bit more rough. And this is like the cold big brother breaking all of his barriers immediately to give you a hug.
Yeah. No, Kaze embraces him very strongly or very firm. It's good to see you.
I was worried when the letters stopped coming.
It's been a while since I've sent them. A lot of events happened, and it was more difficult and to write on paper. I've been meaning to contact via dream, and just a lot going on. I apologize for being absent. How are things in the Sulk?
Bogdashra has returned, which has helped me take care of things here. We have quelled much dissent that was coming from some of our brothers and sisters because of all that we have given to you.
I have unfortunate news in relation to that. I'm going to be asking for more aid. But it's not for me, selfishly. It's for all of us. You were aware of the dealings in the north?
Yes. We felt the shock waves as well.
Okay. There are two things I'm going to ask of you. One, the aid of the people of the Sulk to the north within 6 days. There's more, to be more specific. And two, I need you to get with old Lolly, and we are going to need to move people via teleportation. Not of the Sulk. We do not have the magical means ourselves, and I know that we at the Sulk do. I think if we could provide this, it could be an advantage for protecting our world.
I will speak with old Lolly and gather our voices and our abilities. Kaze.
Yes.
How are you?
just want to sit and have a drink. I just want to be home. I don't want to be running around with this band of adventurers. But it fell on my lap and it knocked. He didn't ask me to, but he pretty much asked me to in his own cryptic way. Once this is over, I'm coming back home.
You see Yuzo kind of lifts himself up and puts his hands on his hips in the way that he always stood taller than you in those days when you were younger, and says, and here I was thinking I was chosen by Noct as Grand Master.
Well, you didn't get this stupid curse. It's not stupid. Don't take offense to that, Lou. I didn't mean it.
Lou.
Oh. I thought I told you. And at this moment, Timber is going to make himself look at what he really looks like is his hybrid form.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be alarmed, but this is actually what they look like now.
And you see, he doesn't. At no point is Yuzo scared or taken aback by this. He just kind of steps forward and puts his arm firmly on your shoulder and pulls you in closer. I can still kick your ass like this.
We'll see.
After we save the world.
All right. Done.
Is there anything you want me to tell Selena and Leo?
Yeah, if you could, just rest assured that their father is going to come home soon.
He is. If I have anything to say about it.
At least I hope so. Maybe it's not best to say that. Say he's on his way.
Even better.
We shall meet in person next time.
Yeah.
I'll have my Elysian friend send you a message as an easier means of contact going forward to coordinate if need be. His name is Kiran, so don't be freaked out if you get a message from him.
Understood. Before you go, Kaze, it feels like this was all leading up to this, right? Noct. The work of the sulk.
That's the way I interpreted it.
Maybe he was trying to stop this. All those people we've
laid to rest, yes. It kind of makes sense now. The dots are connecting.
I will rally our forces. And I'll see you soon, brother.
Good to see you again. And also, I spoke with Noct, or more like talked to him. In your means of convincing the Sulk to aid this mission, he may be revealing himself to you.
It's a bit early. The Vala ritual is only a month away.
Oh, that's right.
I look forward to speaking with him.
Good luck getting an answer.
He never answers.
Yes, that's that's the joke.
Till we meet again.
Till we meet again. And he gives Kaze gives him a firm forearm handshake.
He returns
And then
it.
just lets everything lets him go to dust, but lets Yuzo to have that dream, the rest of the dream.
Lovely. Your brother has a good night's rest, dreaming of...
Make him make a wisdom saving throw. No.
Deal the psychic damage to your... You'll do it, coward. Hurt your brother. But no, he lives the rest of the dream running about the field playing with you and Luma.
Sweet.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to do on this night before we end tonight and next session enter into the fourth day, or fourth to the end day?
I mean, I think Wizwick would be outside of his own family home, and he would probably message his sister. I don't know if you want to end it like with that, or if you want to actually like play it out or do it next week.
I'd say we could do that next week. We'll do that at the start of next week. We'll do a small scene with your sister and your message.
I was imagining something like, it's late at night and, it's an afterthought for him, and because he didn't realize the sister was like in his home, and he's like, goes to his house, and at typical of her, hers is the only light that's left on in the house. And he like stands, under her window and shoots a message up to her cantrip. Just says, I don't remember what name it is.
Oh, which one is the Wizwick name?
Yeah, it would be Bilgrew.
Yeah, I think it would be Bilgrew, yeah.
It would just be,
Hey, sis. Bilgrew's home. Come down and say hi, but don't wake the others.
She wouldn't even respond. You would just hear her. You wouldn't even hear her. You would actually see her come up to the window, and she would use her kind of roguish talents to just jump out of the window, crawl stealthily and quietly down from up above, and lands down in front of you. And you would see in her eyes is at first just pure joy, and then kind of shock as she looks at your body and your skin. And then she just immediately hugs and embraces you. Bilgrew, you're supposed to be dead.
I was. But now I'm something better. It's a lot to explain. Come with me.
And she would go with you. And
as we take a little moonlight stroll and explain to her what's happened to me and what happened to Owik, and to prepare for the future ahead, come what may.
Okay. Anything else for this evening before the next day, when you have your abilities back to you? Okay. All right, then in that case, that is where we will close tonight's session out. We will start next session in the any remaining factors in the evening, over the night, and then we will go into the fourth day, or really the third day of your whatever day it is.
Second.
No, it would be the third day actually, because the first day was when you were. What?
Figure out the details.
We'll
next
figure out
session.
yeah. But this will be really kind of a hard prep session next week, where you'll be doing anything you want to do to secure allies, and then making your plan basically for what the battlefield's going to look like at Therismore if all of these forces can come together. I imagine next week at the beginning you'll be going to Veramelsia, because that's what you're going to do after talking to Owik, and then going from there to bring folks north. All right, folks, thank you for joining us tonight. Please come join us for more programming throughout the week. This Wednesday is going to be Relaxing in Paradise. I'm going to probably play Cult of the Lamb again because it was so much fun. Stefan, you died. Your follower died of old age.
Wow.
Hey.
That long.
And then
really he won.
Yeah, but then at the end of the stream, the chat voted to help me, and they voted to resurrect someone who died. And Stefan, you were resurrected.
Wow, if that isn't art imitating life,
right?
I don't know what is. Thank you.
But I'll probably play some more of that. If some of the miniatures I have in store come, I will try to maybe do some priming or painting. I also might be building miniatures. I also might be spending some time on Wednesday building a new black box for our battle maps. That is going to be made of sturdier material than the cardboard that's back there, and maybe a little larger. It'll also be painted with this cool paint that I got, Black 3.0. It's supposed to be the darkest black paint in the world.
Fancy.
To help accentuate our miniatures, to help accentuate our toys that we are taking videos of. And then, of course, the Sean Enchanted Power Hour will be next Sunday. And then we will be back on Monday at 6 p.m. to continue pressing into the end of this campaign. And we'll go from there. All right. Well, let's see. All right. We're going to raid So Maddie Games. They're a friend of the channel's who helps run the amphitheater with our friend Duval. Really good person in the community, so go and give them our support. They are playing a TTRPG. I'm not sure which one, but they're good people, so go and support Maddie, and we'll see you all very soon, as I put the name in wrong in the raid command. Talk. Okay, raid command goes through. All right, everybody, say goodbye, say goodnight, say your own salutation.
Crescent Hot, guys, you all.
Arrivederci.
Your own salutation.
Bye.